What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Parker Chronicles podcast. I am your host, the Parker XP, and today, co-hosting with me is none other than one half of the cutest couple on Twitch, DNA Gaming. I had to today. I had to.
No, you're
This
fine.
is Dan. Dan, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you very much. And if the cute, I feel, is only valid if Angela's here, but I appreciate that.
Oh, come on. I was talking about both of you. And speaking of DNA Gaming, thank you so much for the 19-month resub. Whoa! Crazy.
Yeah, my wife must have done that.
Crazy. Yeah, welcome everybody to episode 5. It's crazy that we're already here. We're already over a month into the show, and we're already on to our second series. Today, we are starting Jaws in review. If you cannot see by the amazing poster over, I always have to look at OBS to figure out where I'm pointing, so I don't look like a complete idiot.
Paraphernalia behind you.
Yeah, and you know, I got the shirt on today. There's Jaws stuff all over the place. If you didn't know, if you haven't been to this channel for the little bit I've been on here, I love this movie. It's my favorite movie of all time. And I cannot wait to talk about it. And I promise we won't be doing this for 2.5, 3 hours. All right. People have to go to work. You know, people got things to do. And, yeah. So, the last couple episodes have been very long, but we'll try to keep this one a little bit shorter. We'll stick around like 2:15 or something.
It's gonna be your fault this time, not mine.
It'll be all my fault. I'm on the big screen. Oh my God. So something that we should announce, we are now on podcast services. We are currently on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, soon to be on Google Podcasts, and also on Podbean, if anybody listens on there. So just FYI to anyone who just listens to the audio version of the show, I do stream this on Twitch, on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/theparkerxp. So if you hear me randomly just thanking people, it's because I'm streaming and people are talking to me in chat and dropping, subs or follows or whatever. So don't get confused. That's what's going on. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
I've done podcasts before. Don't you just find that a more enjoyable way to do it, like on stream, because you have like an audience that's interacting? It's
100%.
not just like your group. Yeah, I agree. I think it's fun.
Infinity Galaxy, what's up? Welcome to the show. All right, Dan.
Sir,
since you are the guest again, you're pretty much a co-host. So we might, you're gonna be on the show so many times. I feel like we're probably eventually gonna have to change the name of this podcast because
just let me sleep on the couch. It'll be all right. I'll be fine.
All right. What are your thoughts here on Jaws?
Jaws is a very influential film as far as cinema goes. It is one of the greatest films of all times. One of the best. I would consider some monster movie, because it is in certain aspects.
Yes, 100%.
And it also contains one of the best monologues in film history. So
yes,
yeah, fantastic.
100%. We'll get to that when we get to that part of the movie. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. What a fantastic, so beautifully done. And I believe it wasn't in the script. I believe I read that, or it was something that was an idea, but Robert Shaw made it his own. Yes. You changed your name? Oh, well, welcome in. I figured that was you because it was similar, and so it didn't throw me off that much. So yeah, starting off, Jaws released June 20th, 1975. Yes, chat. I'm not even 30 years old. My favorite movie is over 45 years old. So
my favorite movie came out a year before this, so I'm over there with you.
Woohoo. There we go. See, it doesn't matter, chat. Doesn't matter what year a movie comes out. It can be your favorite, regardless of your age. I love this movie. Is fantastic. I've seen this movie over. Oh man, I don't even know if I want to put a number on it because I couldn't tell you. I am the type. This movie is one of those movies where I don't have to actually see it from the beginning to the end. I could just like be sitting on my couch flipping through the channels, and if Jaws on TV on any one of those movie channels, AMC, FX, whatever, It doesn't matter what part of the movie it's in. I'm gonna watch the rest of it. Doesn't
Oh,
matter.
absolutely. Yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
Like, it doesn't. That's how much I love this film. This was directed by Steven Spielberg back in his early days. This was, I believe, his second or third feature film.
Was this right after The Duel? Do you remember?
He did Duel, and then there was oh god, I almost just said Pineapple Express. Not Pineapple Express. There's another movie that is similar in name. He's been a producer and stuff on so many things. I just literally need to find his direct. Okay.
I've gotta ask the hard questions.
So Duel technically wasn't his first feature film because that was actually a TV movie. It came out
Oh,
in
okay.
1972. His first feature film was The Sugarland Express, which had Goldie Hawn and
Uh,
other people I don't know. Never seen
Sounds
it.
familiar, but I have no idea what it's about.
So yeah, that was his first feature film, and so Jaws was his second feature film, coming out in 1975. Which then, I mean, if you don't know who Steven Spielberg is, I mean, he's only directed some of the most influential films of all time. Uh,
This is the movie that really put him on the map though, wasn't it? Like, really
yes.
like, "Oh, Spielberg made
Well,
that."
yeah, because I mean, this was also a film that was either going to make him a big name or it was going to destroy him.
Yeah, yeah.
Because this film was a bitch to make. This
Mhm.
was one of the. I mean, going back, anytime anyone ever asked him a question about Jaws or what was like the hardest film you ever had to make, he'll always say Jaws. Jaws was horrific for him. Like the whole process behind the scenes, it was a nightmare. But then it turned out to be the first ever summer blockbuster in
Yep.
1975. And it was huge. And then of course Star Wars broke it in 1977. But yeah,
Bastards.
Jaws. Listen, if Jaws was, if the things that happened behind the scenes with Jaws didn't happen, this movie would have been so much worse.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Um, so a lot of factoids are going to be thrown out today, chat. We're going to get to the plot at some point, but I have a lot of facts in my head, and we got IMDb. IMDb, great site. Got a lot of cool facts on there,
Oh, yeah.
especially things I didn't even know about. So yeah, so as you know, if you've ever seen the film, this is about a shark terrorizing a small town on an island off the coast of New York, I believe. Right, Amity. I think Amity. They say that right is off New York.
I think it's somewhere up up there.
Yeah, I mean they talk about the Brodies talk about how they're from New York, and then they moved. They're from the city, and then they moved here because he got a job. But yeah, this movie is so they used a mechanical shark for all the shark scenes that you see, anytime you ever see the shark, it's a mechanical shark. It's all practical. It was made in 1975. CG wasn't a thing.
Nope.
So this is what they had to do. Now the problem is a lot of movies that are based on the water, especially even nowadays, they're all done in a studio. Steven Spielberg said, I don't want to do this in a studio. I want to do this on the actual ocean. And that's what he did. This man had some big kahunas because he directed one film, feature film. He had directed TV movies and commercials and stuff like that. But he had directed one film and he was doing this already. He was putting his career on the line.
Yes, yeah.
After one film, and it wasn't even a hit. So yeah, so they go to Martha's Vineyard. That is where this movie was primarily filmed. That's what I got my Jaws shirt on. It's from Martha's Vineyard. I had to wear my Martha's Vineyard Jaws shirt today.
That's the special one, right?
Just fit, yeah. Because for the rest of these movies, I got other shirts for those. Just generic Jaws shirts. This one is the most special for me.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, so he wanted to film on the ocean. And so they decided to build a giant mechanical shark. They had to make this thing large and menacing. The biggest thing you've ever seen. See, back in 1975, sharks were kind of, they were known about, of course, from histories, retellings of shark encounters or whatever. But sharks are still to this day sorely misunderstood. And Peter Benchley, who is the author of the book, which came out in 1973 or 4. So yeah, the book was written and the movie was made within a couple years, I believe. Read the book. If anyone is a fan of Jaws here, read the book. Very different to the movie.
1974. 1974
Okay.
is a novel.
Yeah, if it was a very short time frame. I believe Benchley had just released the book, and Carl Gottlieb and Richard Zunick, who are the producers of this film, they went and grabbed this book and read it and were like, we want to make a movie out of this. When they went
I
to
don't
go
blame him.
when they went to go make the script for this movie, there was a lot of things that they had to change because it was
Yeah.
there was a lot of wacky things. So, in the book, spoiler alert for anybody who's not read the book. This book is literally 47 years old. Let's see. Hooper, who is played by Richard Dreyfuss in the movie, has an affair with Ellen Brody. Dan, have you read this? Have you read Jaws?
I have not. I've watched. I do plan on it, but I've watched some of those. Like, what's the difference between like the novel and the
okay.
show?
Yeah.
So I know a little bit about it. But go ahead.
So yeah. Yeah, Hooper has an affair with Ellen Brody, which is weird. That would have just thrown the film off so much.
Yeah.
In the book, Hooper dies and not Quint, or maybe both of them die. It's been a long time since I read the book, but I know that Hooper dies in the book,
Okay.
where he does not in the film.
Spoiler.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a bunch of other ones that are just kind of out there. But yeah, Peter Benchley wrote the book, based it on a series of shark attacks back in 1916.
Yep.
Off of the Jersey Shore, where a bull shark, a rogue, as they call him, a rogue bull shark, pretty much terrorized the Jersey Shore for like a good amount of time before it was eventually killed. But that's where his basis for Jaws came from.
I watched an old. When you were growing up, I'm sure you did because you're a shark guy. Did you watch like every summer Shark Week when that came on?
100%.
Yes, that's where I learned about like a lot of that was they had. I remember one of their things was about the 1916 shark issue back in Jersey, which was really fascinating.
Yeah,
very interesting stuff.
It was Shark Week and Croc Week. You know, Croc Week with Steve Irwin. That was my childhood. It was on Animal Planet.
Croc Week.
Yeah, it was literally based on Steve Irwin and Crocodile Hunter, but that's a different story.
Absolutely.
But yeah, he based it off of that real incident. But he modernized it to that time, to the 70s. And just wrote it, not for him not knowing what was going to happen after this. He to the day he died, he regretted writing the book. Because then eventually got turned into the movie, which then put a lot of fear in people's eyes that sharks are bad. Sharks are evil. Yeah. They're out there to kill you. And sharks got pretty much, there was a big boom of shark killings and just these crazy, I mean, still today, over 100 million sharks are killed like every day or something like that. It's insanity. Sharks are not bad people. Just throwing it out there.
They're just doing their job, man. They don't know any better. They know you're in the water. You seem like something they could try eating. They're going to try it out. They don't got hands. They can't like, what's this?
Exactly.
This is why I plan on jumping on a shark one day.
Did
I tell you this story?
No.
Okay, so my plan was we were at the beach. I said, dear, if we were at the beach on the pier and I see a shark, I'm going to jump off the pier onto its back and just wrap my arms and be like, where's your evolutionary advantage now? I have thumbs, and just like hold on for dear life. Gargling because I'd be underwater, of course.
That's funny.
Carry on. I'm sorry.
I mean, the number one thing I have on my bucket list is to swim with a gray white without a cage.
That would be brilliant, dude.
So
they're so cool, though. I love sharks. So
they're beautiful animals, and people need to chill the hell out. That's my husband. Man, so good.
That's true facts.
So yeah, Peter Benchley regretted, up until the day he died, he regretted writing the book, which then eventually got turned into the movie. People got bad perception of sharks. Him and his wife, I know they had a huge organization based around shark protection, and up until he passed away, I think the early 2000s. Um, and Peter Benchley actually makes a cameo in this film. Do you know where?
Does he really? Who
Yes.
is he?
So on the 4th of July, when everybody's on the
Uh-huh.
beach and having fun, he is the newscaster.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he is the
That's
newscaster who is.
interesting.
Yep. So
Now,
yeah,
I
go
know
ahead.
from if I remember right, I don't know if he did this. I'm sure he did this intentionally, being the writer. Like from what I've heard, the book, like there's not really like a real good guy in the book. They're all pretty horrible people,
Oh
from what
yeah,
I've heard.
they're all terrible people.
Okay.
Like Martin is an alcoholic. Which they kind of put it in there in the movie. Like, I mean, of course, like the scene where he's at the table and he chugs like a
Yeah.
giant glass of wine, but it's like,
Yeah.
and he's drunk on the boat later on.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just that one scene.
Yeah.
Bob,
It's kind
thanks
of
for the
like
alert,
the
man.
breadcrumbs.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, they definitely, when they wrote the script for the movie, they definitely wanted to make uh Brody the hero. They
Yeah.
wanted to make Hooper, they wanted to make all these characters kind of I don't know about relatable, but not hated. Like even
Yeah. Yeah.
Quint, like Quint wasn't a great person. Like he
No.
was out
No.
there, but he was, he just had that fear, especially when he retells the story.
Ugh.
That's where he becomes the person he is. Like he has
Yep.
that
Yep.
traumatic experience,
Yep.
and so on and so forth. Yo, Peekaboo, welcome in. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you enjoy the show. So yeah, so Spielberg gets signed on to the film. I think Universal pretty much didn't have a lot of faith in him. I think they kind of threw him to the wolves. They're like, yeah, sure, we'll hire him. He's probably going to want to quit, or we're going to have to fire him at some point soon. Yeah, it's insane how this movie put him on such a pedestal for the rest of his career.
Yeah.
Especially 2 years later. I mean, the fact that he was still able to put out a film and it to actually be successful, even at this coming out the same year as Star Wars. Like he directed Close Encounters of the Third Kind,
Yep.
which came out in '77, which is the same year as Star Wars.
Yep.
And it's still, I mean, it didn't do well as well as I think they would have expected, but it was a completely different story to Star Wars. They're two space films about somewhat aliens, but I think it's a very underrated film. If you've never seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind, go see it. Also stars Richard Dreyfuss, who's in this film.
It's got a lot of mashed potatoes in it.
A lot of mashed potatoes.
I'm actually kind of surprised they let him still make stuff after like all I've heard about this movie being way over schedule,
Oh yeah.
way out of budget.
Oh
Like
yeah.
everything went wrong. It's amazing.
The funny thing is that he actually didn't. He wasn't there at the end of filming. He actually
Really?
left. I think he was expecting to get fired, so he kind of
Oh,
just was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go." He actually wanted to start editing the film, what they had already
yeah.
before anything, and he was afraid he was going to get fired before he was able to do any of that. So he
That
left
makes sense.
early to go start that process.
I had
Yeah,
no idea.
way
That's
over
interesting.
budget, way over time frame. I don't even remember how many days they were supposed to film. But the fact is they filmed on the ocean. That's insane. They actually film like the ocean is very unpredictable. Where like when
Yep.
you're filming a movie, like let's say when James Cameron was making Titanic, or when they were filming, I don't know if you ever seen The Perfect Storm.
I have, yes.
I love that movie.
Good
But
movie.
like those movies are in controlled environments where they can control the waves and what things look like and special effects, of course. They didn't have that in 1975, but like for
Nope.
Spielberg to just be like, yeah, we're doing this is just damn. Like
He wanted that authenticity, man.
yeah. And then his worst nightmare came when he would go. So in the script, the shark was supposed to be seen a lot more than what
Yep.
it was. And every single day he would get a notification or like a call from his from the whoever would set up the scenes and be like, hey, the shark's not working. We can't get the shark to work. They get the shark out into the water and it would sink to the bottom. They had to fish
Yeah.
it out like a dozen times and things wouldn't work properly. And then they figured out that the salt water was actually messing up the mechanisms inside. And that was what was causing all the major issues. So Spielberg had to go back and he had to rewrite the script to make it where the shark isn't seen. You know, it's that really eerie where you don't see the shark, but you know where he is. Like you got that sense where it's always from the shark's point of view, which because of that, I believe, you know, with the shark not working, it made the film better because it's more suspenseful.
Yep.
I feel like if you saw the shark all the time, it would just kind of get repetitive and it wouldn't have been as good. It wouldn't have grabbed you like it does now.
Absolutely.
You know, even in the scenes like when the Kittner boy gets attacked, you don't see the shark. You see his fins as it's flipping around.
Yep.
And that's what, you know, when Brody sees it, and then you know, the scene like where the two guys are fishing off the dock with the big roast.
Yeah.
And you don't see the shark, but you see the piece of the barge that gets pulled out and then the shark's coming in. You don't see him. It's such better shots than if you were to have seen the shark the whole time. I think it just, I don't know. When you first see the shark's head come out of the water, even though to right now in 2021, you see the movie and you see the shark and you're like, oh damn, that's a rough looking shark. But I mean, it's still one of those moments where you're like, oh shit, that's what they're dealing with. That's what's been causing all this chaos. So yeah, that is those are my facts for right now until I can think of something else as we go through the plot. Do you have anything?
Just the shark's name.
Yes. What's the shark's name?
The technicians, the people on staff named him Bruce.
Yes. And sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
No, you go ahead.
Fun fact, when they were naming the sharks in Finding Nemo, Bruce was named after the shark from Jaws.
And we have a just the thing my wife knows, but there's like a stray cat that shows up around her house. He's a tomcat. He's got a big head.
Yes.
I've always called him Bruce after the shark. He just comes in and eats and leaves. It's a big cat. That's all he does.
Well, I got Bruce back here.
Hello, Bruce.
Well, it's the Jaws Bruce, not the Finding Nemo Bruce.
Oh no, the real Bruce.
Anybody who's listening to this, I'm just showing my awesome Jaws toy.
I would want to tell you how much I loved, even though I know it's a bad game because LJN made it. I love Jaws on the NES.
Oh man, wait.
You got a CIB version of that?
Where is it?
Uh-oh.
It's somewhere around here. I rearranged my room and now I can't find it.
No! Apparently we just blew someone's mind with that bit of trivia too.
Really?
Yeah.
Just blew my mind on that. I mean, I got a bunch of Jaws stuff. I do have the NES game. I bought it at PAX East a few years ago.
Did you get it complete in box or?
No, it's just the cartridge.
Oh, I need to get a physical copy. It's not a very good game, but I love that damn game.
I have that and Jurassic Park. Oh, it's right here.
Jurassic Park. I don't know why I don't own a copy of that. Yes. That's so good.
And then I have this one's sealed. Actually, this is the one I got at PAX East. It was Jurassic Park.
I don't own that either for some reason.
Jaws, I believe I bought at a local. There was a game shop in our mall, which doesn't exist anymore.
That's a damn shame.
Yeah. The town I live in sucks.
I don't know that feeling.
Phil can attest to that. So yeah. Another thing before we start, the cover of the movie, as for anyone who can see, the cover is actually a replica it's a redesign of the cover of the book.
Oh, what's the original book cover look like? I should look that up.
Yeah, look it up. It literally is the most generic drawing. It's all line work. And the artist, I can't remember what his name is, Roger Castell. Who actually drew all the Star Wars posters. He drew a lot of posters. Right? Yes, it's all in black, and the shark and the girls like in like a white.
That's dope. Sorry, keep going. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah. So Roger Castell, who is the artist who created the poster, the poster art, also created the poster art for all the Star Wars films, Indiana Jones films, pretty much anything that Steven Spielberg directed, he made the art for. I mean, I know Steven Spielberg didn't do Star Wars, but a lot of famous poster art is done by Roger Chastel. And your boy has an autograph picture from Roger.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
And in this picture, you can see everything on her. It's very clear.
As you should be able to. It's because it's HD. That's why.
It is 100%. I'm gonna get the VOD's gonna get taken down just because I have the Jaws poster on the thing, and people are gonna be, oh man, there's been boobs on this thing the whole time.
All I saw was glare the whole time.
Oh man. All right.
I'm sure we'll think of some more random trivia.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. It's plot time. For Jaws, we start off with an ominous shot of what we believe to be the shark swimming through the depths, through the weeds, as we hear John Williams' amazing score start behind him. John Williams, as you know, probably one of the greatest composers of all time. Writing pretty much, if you could think of like major music for film, it was John Williams. Star Wars, Jaws, Jurassic Park, Back to the Future. Back to the Future. I'm wrong. Nope, wasn't him. A lot of amazing films. E.T. Why am I blanking right now? I feel like he's done some. I mean, he has done a lot more. I'm just having a hard time.
I just pulled it up. Indiana Jones.
Yep. Oh, Harry Potter. Harry Potter. He did write the Harry Potter music.
He did. Allegedly. I'm just kidding.
Allegedly. But yeah, so you have the shark swimming ominously as you believe to be the shark. Of course it is. And you got the score behind it showing, of course, back years ago. I mean, sometimes films do it today, but years ago, movies always started with credits. It always show you who's in the film. Yes, it's always good. You know, it kind of builds up to what you're about to see for the next 2 hours. Yeah. So, you know, it shows all the actors. A lot of actors, probably a lot of people here won't know. Why am I blanking right now? Roy Scheider, who plays Brody, Richard Dreyfuss, who plays Hooper, and Robert Shaw, who plays Quint. Oh boy, I'm having a hard time remembering people's names right now.
I can go back and look.
Just talk. Lorraine Gary, who plays Ellen Brody, Murray Hamilton, who plays Vaughn, who's the mayor.
Our real villain of the movie.
Yes, he is the villain of this movie.
Yes.
We get to the villains of this series, which I don't even know if, to be honest, I think he's the only villain of this whole series, because I think the rest of the movies, it's really kind of just the shark.
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I guess in 3, we get to that point. 3 has one.
Does it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's kind of just the collective. It's not one person.
I thought it was just a hand grenade.
No, the villain of Jaws 3? No, the villain of Jaws 3 is the director of Jaws 3.
There you go.
It was Universal going, we need to do this. And they're like, no, we don't.
Why have you forsaken us?
Oh, man. So, yeah, this is the title card where it shows Jaws. And then we get a beach shot where it's a bunch of people getting high, drinking, and singing songs, and guys playing harmonica. I can still hear the song in my head.
Some tongue wrestling.
Oh yeah, some people making out. And this dude is hitting on this girl, Chrissy. And you'll hear her name a lot. Once later on in the scene. But yeah, he's talking to her, having a good time, and then she asks him if he wants to go swimming. So they run off, and as they're running off, Chrissy is stripping down to nothing. And this dude is, I don't remember if he had a name. Do you have a name?
I don't think he was in 3 scenes.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
I don't think so.
He's in this scene, and then he's in the next scene when they find Chrissy.
I just want to state how suspiciously good she is at taking her clothes off, and how absolutely poor he is at taking his clothes off.
Well, I mean, his excuse was he was plastered. He was gone. But yeah, she like, it was like no effort at all. She was just in a matter of seconds, just
Like
completely
that
it
scene
was,
from it's like that scene from Bruce Almighty where he just throws his arms back and
yeah.
his clone. That's
Yeah,
exactly what it's like.
exactly. So yeah, she jumps in and drunk guy is just having a hard time, and then it gets to the point where he is just done. Just takes a snooze on the beach. And she's
Yep.
swimming, doing some, leg stuff out there and showing off, showboating. And that's when it all starts. One of the to be honest, the first time I ever saw this, I was 5. Way too young. Way too young. But my grandma, bless her heart, she showed me this film and made me fall in love with film. This
Yeah.
was literally the start of my addiction to film. I don't know why I didn't get into it or why I didn't pursue it, but she is a huge part of my journey into this and having me fall in love with movies like Jaws and Jurassic Park and having me watch movies that a lot of people probably my age never seen. You know,
Yep.
I'm almost 30 years old, and I've seen probably a lot more films, from the 60s and the 70s and even the 80s. I mean, there's a lot of people who haven't even seen certain films from the 80s. There are people my age who have never seen Indiana Jones. What is wrong with you?
Was that a hit at me? I'm just like,
Have you never seen Indiana Jones?
not really. I've seen hit parts of them,
Oh
but no.
no.
Oh, dude, I have ever since I've started streaming and everybody caught wind that I've not seen Indiana Jones. It's been like this lynch mob. Like every time you watch Indiana Jones, you should watch Indiana Jones for like years. Angela can attest. True fact, I
Oh
swear.
man. Oh man. I'm sorry. That wasn't a shot to you. I did not know you've never seen Indiana Jones, but what is wrong with you?
A lot more than not
Oh
seeing Indiana
boy.
Jones, I assure you.
Oh man. That's okay. Um so yeah, she's doing her thing out there, swimming around, and we go back to the shot of it's a first person shot of we all know it's the shark coming up slowly as the music builds up, and then she gets us, and then it shows her, and she gets a little tug. And the thing is, the acting from this actress, fantastic. Susan
Oh gosh, she
Backlinen,
nails it. She nails it.
who plays Chrissy, phenomenal. And if you want to know the story about the behind the scenes of the making of the scene, she gets thrown around. So she is strapped into a harness,
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of. It was actually a harness on her waist because they didn't want, they didn't have anything to hide anything above.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so and when she gets pulled around, like she said that the whole time it hurt, like it was
I
painful.
imagine.
And she said that like, some of the screams were actually like genuine screams of like pain, as she's being tugged around. Um, but yeah, it was. She does a fantastic job. Just the emotion on her face when that first tug, and then she gets kind of, grabbed and moved around, and she's like struggling to take breath, and then she
Yeah.
just gets dragged back and forth, and then she's like holding on to the buoy out there, and just the guttural screaming, and no one hears her. By the way,
Nope.
no one hears her. The guy on the beach is passed out, and then all the people. How far did she run?
That's what I was gonna
How
say.
far did they run? You're telling me nobody is hearing this guttural death scream from the
Yep.
I don't know, man. It was. I mean, they're probably all drunk and in the same situation as drunk guy in the beach. But yeah, she gets tossed around and then gets yanked under. And it's just that calming zoom out of the water just kind of slowly going up and down, which is fantastic. And then we meet the Brody family. The good
Yeah.
Brody family, by the
Yes.
way. We've already talked about a Brody family, but we were like, nor that they ever existed.
Yeah, let's push them aside.
Aaron Taylor Johnson, flick you.
Dude, what if they remade Jaws and they had Aaron Taylor Johnson?
Oh my god. Oh man. Let's not wish that upon anybody.
No, absolutely not.
If this movie ever gets remade, that'll just be an abomination in itself. This movie doesn't just is perfect the way it is. So yeah, we meet Martin and Ellen Brody. Best remake. Lies. Stop it. Stop it right now. So
Thank you,
so we meet Martin and Ellen Brody. And He is, I believe this is like his first. Is this his first day on the job? Like, I feel like
Um,
it was kind of like his like first week or first day on the job because everybody knows who he is. Like when he goes
yes,
into town and
I know it's first summer, and then they bought the
yes,
house in the fall because he was complaining about the sun coming in. I
right,
don't remember the sun shining in my eyes.
yeah, and he asks like where the boys are. As you know, they have two sons,
Mhm.
Sean and
Dot, dot,
Michael.
dot, dot, dot.
Michael. Sorry, Michael's the oldest and Sean is the youngest. And they are prominent characters for the duration of this franchise, literally.
Yep, yep. It's
Uh,
true.
so hold on to your butts there. Um, so they're kind of, he's kind of grunging around like, man, did I make a mistake? Like, I feel like he questions himself every day. He wakes up, he's like, did I make a mistake? And she's like, I mean, you kind of already made the decision, we got to kind of live with it. They go downstairs. She's making breakfast. He gets a phone call, which is for him to go down and meet up with Hendrix, who is his like deputy,
Yeah, yeah.
because they found a body on the beach. But before that, his son Michael just comes in with this giant gash in his hand. He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Look what he got." What did he say? I got bit by a dinosaur or something.
Yeah, something like
Uh,
that. I don't remember what he says. Yeah, something like that.
this kid is a beast.
He just
He's just
takes. He's
coming
like,
in with
check
like
it
this like
out.
super deep cut, just like, look, mom, look what I can do.
High fives.
Yeah. And sad story about the actor who played Michael. I believe he passed away
Really?
in 2000. Yeah, he
Hmm.
was actually from Massachusetts. I believe he was like a local that they hired to do the movie. But yeah, he was
Interesting. That
37 years
sucks.
old. It's really
That sucks.
unfortunate. Um so Martin leaves his family to go down and meet Hendrix. Like we said, he's the deputy of Amity Island, the island that they all reside, where all the shenanigans go down. Uh, and a fun fact: the vehicle, his Bronco or whatever, I believe it's a Bronco,
The
um,
Blazer.
or the Blazer.
It's a K5
Um,
Blazer or a K5 Blazer. Yeah, go ahead.
it is the same vehicle that Hopper uses in Stranger Things.
Oh,
The uniforms, uh, and the vehicle that he drives are the same. Were replicated for Stranger Things. Hooper
that's
wears the
brilliant.
same style uniform, and he drives the same vehicle, but
That's brilliant.
set in different towns. Kind of a cool homage to this film. And his name is Hopper. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but his name is Hopper. One of the characters in this is Hooper. I just made that my own fact, okay? It might not
That
even
sounds
be
like a
true,
fact to
but
me.
it sounds
I
good to
believe it.
me, right? Okay.
I believe it.
So he goes down and meets Hendrix, and Hendrix is on the beach, and or no, he meets up with the drunk guy
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the beach, and he's
Well, you're not
wandering.
wrong. Hendrix is on the beach as well, but
Oh
not with
yeah,
them.
but he's in a very distraught place when we see him for the
Yeah.
first time. So he goes down. He's talking to the kid, talking about like where he's from, and hey, you're not an islander, are you? Like you don't seem like an islander. Trying to like poke fun that Martin is not like he. For one, you find out he does not like the water.
Mhm.
Yet he is a sheriff or he is a chief of a island town.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so it's always kind of everybody in this movie is like poking at him. Like, how
Yeah,
can you be
oh,
the
yeah.
chief of this place and you don't even like the water? It doesn't make any sense. It's all about the money. Or somebody was trying to kick. You never know why he takes the job. I believe it's probably because of money, but it's never mentioned, and it probably shouldn't. It doesn't need to be mentioned because nobody cares. But yeah, so they're going around talking, and then they hear the whistle, and Hendrix has found the body of Chrissy. He is distraught, just on the beach on his knees, just like just never seen anything like this before.
Yeah, yeah, of
Goes
course.
down and you see the mangled remains of Chrissy.
And then it seems everybody's pretty phased by that one, even, Martin.
Yeah. Um, and then it cuts to, I believe, they go to the hardware store, right? They're like walking around this down down the streets, or maybe this was before. Does it
I
go
think
with
it's when
him
he goes.
walking around the town and seeing everybody, and then he goes to the beach?
I think he goes. It's him in his office. It cuts to them in the office because this is the other scene where the kid's in.
Right.
There's
He's
the
like
kid
walk.
sitting there. They're
Yeah.
like drinking like
Yes.
Alka-Seltzer or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then he walks. That one lady walks in, his secretary or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. Um. So yeah, you meet a bunch of bubbly characters. You meet the guy at the bike shop who's like mad because the boys keep hitting his fence. Like,
They keep doing karate on
yeah.
my.
They keep karate chopping the fences.
That's what
it's
happens in
always,
beach towns.
it's
Apparently,
always it's always a great thing. And then yeah, you finally get to the police station. And then you meet the secretary, I believe. I can't remember her name.
I don't
Um,
remember. She's only in like that scene,
yeah,
isn't
she's
she?
in that scene, but she has a very distinct name. Maybe she's uncredited.
No
There's,
credits for
I like how
you.
there's a lady credited in this movie just as Fat Girl. All right, you gotta love it.
They
There's a
seriously ever
lot.
credit
There's a
as
lot of
Fat
uncredited.
Girl?
There's a lot of uncredited characters in this. Polly. Polly is her name. I remember now. Well, actually, I saw the name and it kind of popped in my head. So yeah, so you meet Polly, who is, I believe, the secretary of the police station. And she's telling him the same thing about the kids karate chopping the fence posts and
Yeah.
all that. And then she tells him about the boy, about the kid, the drunk kid. And then
Yep.
they go to the beach. They wander the beach, and then you see Hendrix finding the body. After that, Martin is determined. They found this body. He is determined they got to close the beaches. So they go to the hardware store. He buys a bunch of wood and paintbrushes and all that stuff. And he tells Hendrix, "Hey, beaches are closed." And so yeah, so Hendrix goes off to do that, and I believe this is this the scene where they're driving down, or he's runs into the mayor?
Yeah, because he's going down to the beach because there's like a Boy Scout troop that's practicing
Right,
swimming or something. He's
right,
like, "Oh, I gotta
yes,
run down there," and then the mayor
yeah,
meets him on the little trolley going.
on the ferry that
Fair, that's the
ferries
word.
him
Yeah.
across there. So yeah, and the mayor, who is just he's all about the money, because this town, I mean, this town is like Hampton Beach, Cape Cod, a lot of these places up here in the Northeast, that are based on summer money.
Yep,
The summer is huge money for these places, and the fact that Martin is just his first big thing is to close the beaches, when they don't know, for one, he's kind of doesn't know exactly what's going on.
yeah.
So yeah, so the mayor goes onto the boat and he's like, "Hey, Martin, what's going on? Why are you closing the beaches down?" And Martin automatically assumes it's a shark attack. Like he pretty much is like, "Yeah, this was definitely a shark attack."
Well, the
Um,
coroner tells him earlier in the film because he's typing
yes,
out
it's
the
on.
death
Yes, and he
certificate.
puts shark
And,
attack
yeah,
on the sheet. And then but the coroner's right there with the mayor,
yeah,
and he's like,
yeah,
"I make mistakes sometimes." It's like, you
yeah,
slimy mother.
yeah. It was a boating act.
Yeah, it was a boating accident. It happens all the time. Does it really? Because that seems terrible, like unsafe. We should probably look into that. But yeah, the mayor is just trying to weasel his way out of having the
Mhm.
beaches closed. Um, and Martin is like, "No, this is. I mean, you told me. You told me this is a shark attack. Well, we make mistakes." And he's all pissed off. And oh yeah, and this is when the mayor is what is the quote? It's like something about like close the or people from out of state come here, give us summer dollars. So, oh man, I can't remember the whole quote. Man, I'm bad.
And then, well, I remember the bit that says you go to the beach and you yell barracuda, and everybody's gonna be like, "What?" But you go to but you yell shark, then you're gonna have whatever a panic on the 4th of July. I remember that
Right.
part of it, but he gives the whole spiel about like how we would essentially would fold without summer money,
Right.
which is not necessarily wrong, but it's the wrong
So
motivation to keep up.
right, right. Um so yeah, so they don't close the beaches. Like he has to revoke it. He pretty much has to go
Yeah.
back and can't close them because the mayor is like, "Why are we closing the beaches when it wasn't a shark?" Um So we're on the beach, I believe. Right?
Yep.
This is the beach? This is the beach scene.
Yep.
where Martin is he is focused. He is just staring out into the water, looking at all the kids having fun, tossing around a
Yep.
ball. You got a guy who's got his throwing a stick to his dog. Pippin.
Yeah. Pippin, where'd you go?
The movie The Meg actually threw an homage to that dog.
Oh, really?
There was just a throw off character. There was when the Meg is going towards Hong Kong, I believe, going towards a beach in China or
Mhm.
somewhere wherever the movie was based in. And there was a wedding going on, and the maid or the bride had a dog, and her name was Pippin, or maybe it was
Uh,
just in her language. The dog was called Pippin, but it was kind of a cool
Interesting.
like
That's a good
throwback
nod.
that a lot of people probably wouldn't have known. But yeah, so the guy's throwing a stick to his dog. A lot of things are just going on the beach, and then you got the old guy coming up to him, and I think he says to him like, "I heard you're afraid of the water, Chief."
Yeah.
And then he goes, "Well, that's some bad hat, Harry."
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
is a production company now. I
Yep.
don't remember whose it is though. It's not J.J. Abrams because he's Bad Robot. I can't remember who it is, but there is a
Yeah.
big time director or somebody who has a production company called Bad Hat Harry, which is based off this film.
Yeah,
That's
it's
some
great
Bad Hat
that
Harry.
that's where that comes.
So yeah, so he gets angry, walks away, and Ellen, the wife, is talking to her friends who are also like representatives of the town.
Bryan
Um,
Singer.
Oh God, we don't need to talk about him.
I
Oh God, that's unfortunate.
can't always spawn good things, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Um. So yeah, so they're talking on the beach, and Martin, like, they're trying to have a conversation with Martin. He is too focused on just paying attention to what's going on in the water. And then we cut to the Kittners, who Alex Kittner, who is a little boy who
Mhm.
wants to go out on his floaty.
Yeah, I wanna go a
Tells
little
his
bit more
mom,
longer, mom.
yeah, and she's like, "Your hands look like prunes. 5 more minutes." So he goes out on his little floaty, floating around. Kids are playing, like tossing a football in front of him, and then we see like the guy who was throwing a stick to his dog. He's like, "Pippin!" like calling for him. He's nowhere around. So you're already kind of like, "Oh shit, what's gonna happen?" And then
Foreshadowing.
right, and then it shows the shot of back to our first person shot of something swimming underneath everybody, and then you see from a distance. Oh, well, you see it come up, but then you see the shot is from Martin's perspective of
Yep.
the floaty flipping around, and you see the fins of the shark, and then you
Like a
just see
geyser of
a
blood.
geyser of blood. Holy crap! It was like Johnny Depp dying in Nightmare on Elm Street,
Yes.
coming out of the
Yes.
bed. That's what it
Yeah,
reminded
like,
me of.
it was cool though how, like, from his shot, you got all those people in the way. So, like,
Right.
you can't well, I mean, you can see it, but it's all obscured and it looks cool. I like that.
These were fantastic shots because it shows the perspective of Martin looking at this happening, but then it
Yeah.
turns around to his face, and it's that zoom in, like with
Yeah.
that ominous music. I love that shot. It's
Yeah,
it's
it's so
so
good, dude.
good. And then you got the kids screaming, running in. Everybody's running in. He runs to the edge of the water. He won't step in the water.
Yeah.
That just
I
shows
love
how
that.
afraid he is of the water.
Dude, I
And
love how,
he's
like, he was kinda dedicated, like, he runs up and, like, hits the water and, like, looks down and kinda stops and looks around, yells at everybody to get him out. I
yeah.
just love that. He was dedicated to that role, dude. He did
Oh,
good.
oh yeah. Roy Scheider, fantastic.
I love
Um,
Bruce Schroeder.
he yeah, he's ushering everybody in. Everybody's grabbing their kids, and then you get the really sad shot of Mrs. Kittner walking up to the edge of the water and calling out for Alex. And all you see is his floaty hit the beach, covered in blood, with
Yep.
big giant bite out of it. And it's a sad shot. Even
Yep.
with all the times I've seen this movie, it being a parent myself, it's terrifying, absolutely
Yeah, oh, yeah.
terrifying, and just the actual fear, and then the scene with her later is just heartbreaking.
Oh god.
Um,
Like, I'm sure you probably noticed this as well, like, you would watch stuff like this when you're younger, and it wouldn't phase you, but the moment you have kids, you're like, "This is entirely different. My perspective's
yes,
entirely different on these scenes." Yeah.
100%. Um, and so there is no doubt that this was a shark attack. There was no doubt. There's no way anybody is going to try to weasel their way out of this whole situation. The mayor cannot deny that what was, you know, Martin watched it happen. Like
Yeah.
he saw it, and there was other people on the beach who saw it happen, because there was the one guy like a little bit down from him who was like, "Did you see that?" Like, and
Yeah,
starts like
exactly.
slowly walking towards.
Yep.
So, and then you see the shot of the hallway of all the reporters, and one of the reporters, one of the louder reporters, his name is Meadows. He's actually the guy who got the rights to the book and
Really?
wrote the screenplay for Jaws. He was a huge contributor into getting this film made. Carl Gottlieb.
Fair enough.
But yeah, he actually has a fantastic book about the whole making of this movie. And also, Chad, if you want to watch the behind this, like the making of this movie, I believe the documentary is called "The Shark Doesn't Work."
There you go.
It is literally the making of Jaws. It is amazing.
That's a brilliant name.
Really shows. Also, there is a podcast series. Let me see if I can find it. I'd listen to it. It's called Inside Jaws. Just type in Inside Jaws on podcast services. And it's this guy does breakdowns of movies in podcast form, but like with like acting audio, like people acting out like certain real life people. But it's also
That's
got a
cool.
lot of really cool facts. And there was some facts in there I was like, oh, I didn't even know that. But
That's
yeah,
neat. I like that.
two things you guys should check out if you are interested to learn more about this film. So yeah, they're going through the hallway. Meadows is talking about the Kittner, about Mrs. Kittner, how she has a reward out for anyone who gets the shark that killed her boy. And then you go into like this boardroom. It's kind of like where all the town representatives meet up. They're talking about, you know, Martin is it's dead. So he's like, close the beaches. Like, I tried to do this before, close the beaches, and still people are still going, close the beaches. You're like, yes. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, I know, right? And then the mayor like throws his no for 24 hours.
Right. Yes, only for 24 hours. Yeah.
And then Sheriff Brody's like, I didn't agree to that. And like, it's just kind of small town politics.
Yeah. And the woman who's like in the front row, who is the woman that Ellen was talking to on the beach before the Kittner kid gets killed. She's obnoxious. I can't even remember her name. I can't stand her.
She owns the hotel, I think, is what she said. I think she owns one of the hotels or something. I think. Just like her character like says on a throwaway line or something.
Oh, okay. And then we get the worst sound ever, which is somebody putting their nails on a chalkboard, just scratching down on a picture of a shark. And we finally meet Quint, played by Robert Shaw. And he is the shark man. He is the shark hunter. I believe his character was actually based off of a real life, like one of the big time shark hunters back in the 70s. Really? Yeah. I can't remember what his name was, but yeah, he was determined to always get the biggest great white, always, you know, hunt and kill. He pretty much was a guy who was like, I will kill them all. Like, I believe, so yeah, so we meet Quint. He is like, I'll kill the shark. And I forgot, how much does he ask?
10 grand.
10.
I risking my neck for no 3 grand.
10 grand. Can we do how much that is in today dollars?
I'm gonna right now, actually.
$10 grand.
Calculate the value of 10 grand.
So yeah, so he said he will hunt the shark down. He will bring it back, and he gets to keep it. That was one of his things too. Like, it's mine.
$50,000.
So yeah, so he pretty much asked for 50 grand to kill this shark, which, to be honest, that's actually a pretty decent amount of money. Frank Mundus, thank you for that. So yeah, he was based on Frank Mundus was. I mean, listen, at the time, I guess it was just, you know, people didn't see it as bad. They didn't know what the repercussions were going to be of wiping sharks out. So yeah, so pretty much Quint is like, this is my thing. Just give me the money and I'll get it done. And so he
Yep.
goes off, and everybody's kind of just like, "What the hell just happened? Like, what?"
Yeah, he just walks out. I was like,
He's
"Huh."
like, "Oh, okay." Um, and the 4th of July is coming up real fast, and
Mhm.
so they, every fisherman, because this is an island town, so there's a lot of fishermen on this island, meaning there's a lot of people who want this reward that Mrs. Kittner had put out. So you
Yes.
have literally Brody and Hendrix like trying to keep order as people are
Yeah, oh, yeah.
just people putting dynamite in boats and gasoline and
Yeah.
just the craziest things. And there's this the scenes where he keeps walking up to boats. He's like, "You're not gonna bring that, are you?" And they're like,
Yeah.
"No."
He's like, "There's too many people on that boat."
Yeah.
Ah.
And that's when we meet Hooper for the first time.
I
Matt
love
Hooper,
Hooper.
played by Richard Dreyfuss. Richard Dreyfuss, who is been in ridiculous amount of films. He's the only remaining main cast member still alive today. But he's been in films he was in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He was in a amazing comedy starring Bill Murray, What About Bob? Have you
Oh,
ever seen What
I've been
About
told to
Bob?
watch that. I've been told I need to
Oh
see it.
my goodness, hilarious. Richard Dreyfuss, fantastic in it. I mean, he's been in so many films. But I'm talking about films that are like alive in my mind.
Yeah.
Um, and Roy Scheider, actually, fun fact, played Frank Castle's dad in the Thomas Jane Punisher movie. Did you know that?
Did he really?
Yes, he
I
played.
actually like that movie.
Yeah, he played Frank Castle's dad. So he doesn't make it very long.
That's fair.
Yeah. He was in The French Connection with Gene Hackman, which is a great movie from the early 70s. I believe that came out a few years before this one.
I remember him from, like, Sequest, DSG or whatever, DSV, one of the Sequest franchises, the series. It's a
Oh,
television
yeah.
series. That's what I
Yeah.
remember him from before this movie, before I watched this movie.
Yeah, and he was in All That Jazz, which is a
All that jazz.
it's a movie based on it was a guy who does a lot of like Broadway musicals back in like the 70s and 80s.
Mm.
They actually
I don't
made a
know about
show on FX this year based on that guy too. Whatever. I digress.
You're fine.
So we finally meet Matt Hooper and he introduces himself, and the first thing that Brody tells him to do is, "Hey, can you go like control that? Can you go like make sure all those guys aren't going on that boat?" And he's like, okay. Sure, I've never met anybody here, but I will try to be an authority figure here and try to prevent people from killing themselves." And he goes to I love this scene because he goes to tell these guys like, "Hey, like there's too many people on that boat. You guys are like, it's gonna be bad." And they just kind of throw him off, and he like he turns around and walks away. "They're all gonna die."
I love it. Yeah. I love it. I'll let you get to it, but there's a scene coming up here soon that I like too.
So good. So he meets back up with Brody and explains who he is, that he works for the Oceanography or the Oceanographic Institute. Pretty much his life is dedicated to studying sharks and the behaviors and all that stuff. So he was sent here to kind of figure it all out.
That was actually the scene. It was right before they, like, figure out where it is. He, like, opens the door to their little shack. He's like, "Oh, you know those 8 guys in that boat? Well,
Yes.
none of them are gonna make it out of the harbor alive." I was like, "Okay."
Yes. "See, Hendrix, these are your people. Go talk to them."
People, have you seen the license plates out there?
Yeah, from Connecticut, Rhode Island, New
That's
York.
so good.
So good. So he introduces himself and tells him who he is, and then Brody like was like all excited. And then they go to the coroner's office because Hooper wants to see the body, wants to see Chrissy's body. Right? It's Chrissy's body they look at because I don't think they ever
Yeah.
find. I don't know.
No.
I mean, they don't ever make mention of ever finding Alex's body.
No, as small as you want.
Right. Yeah. So they go and Hooper's examining the body and he just lays into this corner. He's like, "Who the hell put this down as a boat accident? This was no boat accident."
It's like, "Oh, where's the body?" And it's just, like, brought out in a tote.
Yeah, it's like a little gray Tupperware tote. Like, wow. This is
all that's left over Here you go.
Yeah, yeah. And him just laying into this corner, who's just kind of sitting in the corner, just like he knows he's wrong. He knows he was right the first time, but of course the mayor is covering it all up to prevent the
Oh,
beaches
yeah.
being closed. So yeah, Hooper goes off on him, says it's a shark. And then they go back down to the dock where a couple guys go down, or a couple guys caught the shark. Yes, in quotations, because it's not the shark. So yeah, they catch the shark. Happens to be well, actually we'll get to the scene because I love this scene. Me and my brother always quote this all the time. So they go down to the dock. They're very excited because they think it's a shark. Well, everybody thinks it's a shark except for Hooper. Hooper knows for a fact. He's like studying the bite radius and all that stuff of the shark because he had looked at the body of Chrissy to
Yeah.
determine it's not the shark. And he's measuring the bite radius. He's measuring the bite radius, and the guys come over and he's like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, well, from this bite radius, this isn't it. And
Yeah, yeah.
and they're like, what kind of shark? Oh no, they're like poking at it with a pencil, and they're like, what kind of shark is it? And Hooper's like, it's a tiger shark, and the guy's like, oh, what?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I want
God,
that
I
on my
love the
sound.
yokels.
I want that as on my soundboard. Just to oh, what? And then the
I
next
love
go
go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead. Go ahead. No, I was saying the rabble rousers. It's before all this. That's where they all leave on the boat and they're like chumming water and like
Yeah.
throwing little explosives in the water and guns. It's a
Yeah.
great scene. Anyway, that's prior to
And
all this.
then you got Ben Gardner out there leading his guy. Ben Gardner, who he's not a big character, but you'll he's a character that they talk about later because they end up finding him.
Yeah, he's a local, at least
Yeah,
for them.
and he's a very wise man, kind of talking to the guys on his boat, pretty much calling everybody idiots around him.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, this is not what we're doing, but we're here anyways because we want the money too.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, but yeah, so it goes from that to then them turn around like, what's this bite radius crap? Like, what? Get the hell out of here! What are you talking about? You're an idiot. and yeah, him and the main guy and Hooper are just getting into a yelling match, and the paper wants to take a picture of everybody by the shark, and everybody's all excited, and then it kind of goes silent as we see Mrs. Kittner wander into the scene wearing all black because she probably just came from her son's funeral. And she lays into Brody because she knew that she finds out that he knew that there was a shark, because she had heard about Chrissy, and she pretty much is just like, why were the beaches open? You knew that it was what it was. And oh man, such an emotional scene, especially watching it as an adult.
Really good.
Because
Really
like,
good.
yeah, it's the same. I mean, I think anybody would be in that same situation, I mean, to the extreme of people going out there and trying to kill the shark. Like, you don't know which one it was. Like, there are shark attacks all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And it's hard to pinpoint, what shark it was. Did the shark do this on purpose? No, this is a movie. This is all a very highly exaggerated shark. Like,
Yeah.
there's actually a show that they showed on Shark Week a couple years ago. It was called Rogue Shark. Where it pretty much talked about how, I mean, there are such thing as a rogue sharks. Like, there are rogue sharks out there, but they're not like this. And it's always because of something, there's usually something wrong with the shark, like chemically wrong with them.
Yeah.
Because sharks, great whites don't usually, like, they'll be with other great whites, but they're usually solitary animals. And listen, chat, sharks bite people because they don't have hands. Okay? They can't touch what, if they see something they don't know what it is. Biting is their way of figuring out what it is. That's why a lot of shark bites or shark attacks are a shark biting and then going away. Because
it's like
whatever
kids, when they're little, they put everything in their mouth.
Yeah.
Like that.
So they don't, they're taste testing. Exactly. They're pretty much figuring out what it is. They don't like it. They go away. The thing of it is like when people, you hear a lot of shark attack stories where like a shark, grabs onto somebody and doesn't let go. you do realize like something's like thrashing around, they for one, sharks have protective layers on their eyes. So when they go to bite something, they put this
Mhm.
flap down over their eyes, which for one, it messes with their vision. So
Yeah.
they can't actually see very well when they have that layer on, but it also protects their eye from being damaged during, let's say they go after a seal or a whale or something, they don't want to get their eyes damaged. So yeah, it's just what sharks do. And
Yeah. That's
a
why
lot of people still don't understand that.
that's why I referred to this as a monster movie earlier, because it's very
Exactly.
exciting.
This is a
Actually,
very
oh, good.
I mean, there was a lot of films back in, the 70s and 80s that were just, I mean, they made I think they made a Jaws like clone, but with an orca,
Yeah, it
and
is
it was
called Orca.
called Orca. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah. There was another. What was the shark movie that was made around this time?
Around this time?
Yeah, there was another one. It was like 81 or something. Like it was in that era of like knockoffs. I'll have to look it up. I'll
Oh,
look it up later.
I
Anyway,
don't know.
I mean, since how many people do you know that have been attacked by a shark? If I can ask that question.
Me personally, zero.
My friend, my friend, his brother went to the beach and he got bit on the foot by a shark. Is the only person I know. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen. I know it's very rare. You know it's very rare. It's
Right.
not a common thing. We're not their prey item. We shouldn't be in the water. Like, I mean, we're playing it, but that's not our place to be. It's where sharks live.
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, it's going to happen eventually.
It's one of those things where this is what I compare a shark attack to. It's like you go into somebody's house. It's not your house. Like you break into somebody's house and then the person attacks you and then you get mad at them. Well, get out of my house.
Exactly.
Why are you here? Like, listen, the
Exactly.
ocean is huge. Like, humans have been on this earth for, you know, an insane amount of years, but the fact that people are still so stupid to believe like sharks are out to get us, and it's the same with any type of animal, Well, animals have instincts to protect themselves. And in sharks' case, they don't, like I said before, they don't have hands. They can't feel, they can't touch you, they can't grab you and be like, oh, well, that's a person.
Yeah,
Their
exactly.
teeth are their hands. They bite you, they figure out you're not my food, and they go away. But
Yep.
unfortunately, you're paying the consequences because you just got attacked by a shark. Not really attacked by a shark in my eyes. It's more of just you were investigated by a shark, and it unfortunately could have dire consequences.
Yeah.
Yo, what up, Rudy? Welcome in. How are you?
Yeah, it's just part of
Oh,
they're very much demonized it in this movie, which is a shame because most of the public doesn't think about stuff like this, and they're just like,
right.
"They're evil." Like, no, it's
Yeah. So, let's see.
it's where we just did the scene where the kid's mom like slaps
Yeah, she
Brody.
slaps him. I guess she had to do that a lot. It was a lot of takes to get that slap right, and she actually slaps him.
Oof.
And the actress who played her, uh, Lee Fierro, she is actually asked quite often by people to have her slap them.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough.
All right. It was funny when I watched the documentary. That was like one of her things. She was like, "Yeah, I literally like if I'm in because they have I think it's like every 5 years they have in Martha's Vineyard they'll have like a Jaws fest
Really?
to celebrate the movie, especially since it kind of put them and the Jaws and the Kennedys put Martha's Vineyard made
Yeah,
Martha's Vineyard famous. Um, and yeah, she said like she'd go around and people would literally ask her, "Hey, could you slap me?" It's like, all right, that's a weird request, but I mean, sure, if that's something she's well known for.
Oh, I did find out what movie that was, 2 movies. There was Mako, The Jaws of Death,
Ah, uh,
1976, and then the 1981 film Great White. Maybe that's
gotcha. Slap me and call me Mr. Jaws.
that's right.
Oh,
Oh,
Carter, how are you, buddy?
yeah, how's it going, Carter?
So yeah, so that all goes down, and it cuts to the Brody residence. And Brody is in a kind of a, I mean, he's in kind of a depression. He's seeing the repercussions. I mean, it wasn't in. I mean, I know he puts a lot of blame on it, but it wasn't in my eyes. It's not his fault. The mayor kind of forced him into not closing the beaches, even though he knew
Yeah, yeah.
they should close the beach. So,
And he did take
um,
responsibility for it.
yes, he took the
He
blame.
showed up. He's like, "Hey, I didn't do enough to stop this, so I'm gonna take responsibility for it."
Right. Well, I appreciate you being here, Carter. So he's at the table, wallowing in his sorrows, and his son is sitting there too, and it's that cute scene of every time he does a gesture, the youngest
It's
son
great.
does kind of mocks him.
It's a nice
Which is
tonal shift
it's a
from the
very
previous.
yeah, very adorable. As Ellen is watching, um, and then they have a cute little encounter, and then he goes off, and then Hooper shows up. Oh my God.
No, that was
Rudy.
the gas.
Rudy, you break my heart. You break my heart, Rudy.
You must rectify this, Rudy. You can watch it everywhere.
No. You got to watch all 4 now, because
Yep.
we're going to be reviewing all 4. Listen, and just FYI, when we go to rank these, just know that this movie is number 1 already now.
It's all downhill from here.
Yeah, it is literally all down here from there. So Hooper shows up with a bottle of wine. I believe 2 bottles. He got the red and the white.
I don't know what you were serving, so I brought red.
Yes. And then he just is like, "Are you going to eat that?" Just that plate of dinner that's like sitting in front of Brody. And he's like, "Sure." And then he's like, Martin is pouring wine for everybody, and then just decides to pour a lot into a glass. He's just,
like everybody else has got wine glasses. He's got like a glass cup.
Yeah, it's literally like, that's all. Like, just fill her up. Let's go. Oh man. And they're just talking about how shitty of a day it's been. And Hooper pretty much is like, yeah, it's not the shark. Like, I want to go down. I want to cut that shark open. I want to see what's inside. And I want you to come with me. And drunk Brody's like, yeah, let's do it. And Ellen's you sure that's a good idea? And he's like, I don't care. I'm drunk. Let's go.
I'm the chief of police.
I'm the chief of police. Yeah. So they go down to the dock, and they cut that sucker open. And Hooper talks about how tiger sharks are the garbage cans of the ocean, which they are. Tiger sharks are well known to just literally eat anything, license plates, cans, all that stuff, which is stuff that they pull out of this shark. And there's no body. Oh, but we missed the fact where Hooper actually talked to the mayor about doing this.
Yeah,
he's like, I want to cut
the dock. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I want to cut the shark open. He doesn't say it in front of he doesn't say it to the mayor. He was talking to Brody about it, and the mayor comes in. He's like, "Do you think I'm going to allow you to cut this thing open?" And you're going to cut this thing open? We're just going to have that Kittner kid come flopping out of there? And it's like,
yeah,
all right, that's an image. So then they had to do it in kind of the cover of darkness, when no one's around. And
I will give the mayor credit for that call, because that probably wouldn't be a good idea to just do it in a public dock.
Imagine the timing, like they cut the shark open, like imagine the kid's in there and the mom, that's the time the mom shows up. And you're like, whoa. Yeah, that was timing. Bad. Yeah, mayor makes one solid choice in this film. They cut it open, pull a bunch of crap out of it, license plates, cans, dead fish, and no dead body. And so Hooper's like, let's go. I got a boat. Let's go explore. Let's see if we can find where the shark's been swimming.
Yeah, he says something about, he's talking about territoriality. He's like, if that is true, he's going to be like roughly in this range,
right?
Is where he'll be at.
Yeah,
damn it. Brody, whatever. Brody.
Oh God,
I ruined it.
Don't do that.
I brought it up. I'm sorry. No. Brody's like, I'm not drunk enough to get on a boat. He's like, yeah, you are.
Yeah. And he's got that like big orange life jacket
I
on this
love it.
beautiful yacht.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
this research vessel that Hooper has, and yeah, they're shining a light, trying to see, trying to see if they can spot him or anything, or spot anything, you know, that's not going on, not right. Um, and they're talking about, like, he's asking Brody about, like, how are you the chief of this place and you don't even like the water? And he's like, I don't know, but I'm here pretty
Like
much.
he meant they actually talk about that during the scene where they're drinking wine and eting the food at the table.
Yes,
His
yeah,
wife
okay, yep.
elaborates, like, "What do they call that when you're afraid of water?" He says, "It's called drowning."
Yeah, yeah. Oh, so yeah, so he's very drunk and they're just having a conversation about um, what Hooper does, right? They talk about, like, does he talk about the thresher? About how he study
N
thresher
that
sharks?
that's mentions Thresher later,
Oh,
while
I
with
thought it
the
was
band.
twice. I thought he mentioned it here, and then
He
there
may
was the
have.
other one too where he gets attacked, where he had one of his scars.
Uh,
Um,
Interesting fact, this is not involving me directly. My father-in-law is actually afraid of water for the exact same reason. He almost drowned when he was younger, and he will not go in water.
uh,
So, very interesting kinda connection-ish thing. Carry on.
so yeah, so they happen to wander upon, or they're going around, and they happen to come up on a boat that's in shambles.
Yeah.
And the first thing Hooper does is he's like, "Well, I got to go down there and investigate it." And Brody's like, "What? What? Like, you do realize there's a shark out there, right? Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?" He's like, "Don't worry, I'm gonna go down. I'm not gonna be down there for very long." So he goes down there, investigating the boat. We find out it's Ben Gardner's boat, because that's
Yeah,
what Brody
Hooper
says. He's like,
recognized
"Oh, hey, that's Ben
Hooper picks
Gardner's
up.
boat."
Yeah,
Brody,
Brody
yeah, he's like,
recognized
"Oh,
it,
that's
yeah.
Ben Gardner's boat." Um, and so Hooper goes down there to investigate. And he pulls a shark tooth out of the boat, which immediately put it in your pocket, bro. Like, there's your evidence. Isn't there? I mean,
Yep.
there's pockets on those wetsuits. And then he goes upon an opening, and what happens to pop out of it but a dead body, and it's Ben Gardner's head that just kind of
I
pops into
know.
view. Yeah,
That
scares the
always got me when I was a kid.
yeah, yeah. It's definitely one of those moments where you're like, oh, I've seen this movie so many times, it still gets me.
Yeah, that was the one for me when I was a kid. I was like, "Oh god!" And, like,
Yeah. So
in the
he
tears.
freaks out. He drops the tooth, goes up to the surface, um, and we go on to the scene where we meet. It's Hooper, Brody, and the mayor meeting in front of the giant billboard of
Yeah.
Amity Island that somebody had vandalized and put a shark on there, and the woman on the surfboard screaming "Help!"
Yeah.
And you got the crew up there trying to scrub it off, and and they're explaining to him, like, listen, it's a great white. And the guy's like, and the mayor's, he is literally just trying to find every which way to just ignore everything that
Yeah,
Hooper tells
exactly.
him. He's like, where's your evidence? He's like, well, I pulled it. Well, he tells him, he's like, I pulled a tooth the size of a shot glass out of the boat. He's like, well, where's that tooth now? He's like, well, I dropped it. And he's like, well, that sucks.
Tough luck for you. Open the
Yeah.
beach.
Yeah. And he's like, I want to find the boys who did this, and I want to hang them up by their Buster Browns.
That's right. Yes, thank you.
Oh
He's
man.
like, "Let's divert this conversation to the vandalism on the side."
Yeah. Uh and then him and the mayor get into a thing, and I'm trying to think of what Hooper says something to the mayor. Oh, man, I gotta look up the quotes. I know there's quotes on IMDb. Some people in here be like, "You've seen this movie that many times, you can't remember all these things." Listen, my memory is not the greatest. All right, even if I've seen a movie this many, as many times as I have, I still blank out. Especially now
It's
that
a
I'm live. I'm talking. I'm on the internet now, and I got to try
Yeah.
to.
Once you hard hit that go live button, your brain explodes. It just melts out your ear and you can't remember anything. I remember
Oh
he goes
man.
on, talking about how sharks are like an evolutionary perfect eating machine.
Yep.
Like, that's what they do. They eat, they swim, they eat, and they make small sharks. That's what they do.
Oh man, I gotta find the quotes of.
It's really good references. It's great. A bunch of lines. I mean, there's tons of great lines in this movie, though.
Oh, come on, man. Where? It's literally like,
I'll do it,
oh,
man.
I say I don't think I. The mayor says I don't think either of either one of you are familiar with our problems. And Hooper goes, I think that I am familiar with the fact that you're going to ignore this particular problem until it swims up and bites you in the ass.
Yes, that's it. That's it.
Oh man. And then like, yeah, and the mayor continues to like bash him, like telling him, "Oh yeah, you would love to prove that and get your name into National
Oh,
Geographic."
yeah, yeah.
Um
He's a
yeah.
piece of shit, dude.
Yeah, the mayor is a piece of
Like, top
garbage.
notch.
Yeah.
You eat,
And,
sleep, and poop, wife.
and the funny thing is we'll get to it in Jaws 2, but the mayor continues even after this film to continue to be a piece of shit. Like he's
I don't
still
even
the mayor of the
remember.
town, and he still is just like, it's over. Why are we still doing this? Yeah, I digress.
I've
That'll be
not
next
seen
week.
2 in so dang long, dude.
Oh.
So long.
It's the last decent one, let's say.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's a decent movie. It's not bad, but it's not good, and it's nowhere near this one.
Fair,
Um
fair.
so yeah, so the mayor goes off completely just ignoring everything, just pretending like we are going to be open on the 4th of July. Like we need to make the money. This is how this island survives.
Yeah, he said you guys can do whatever you need to keep the beaches safe, but the beaches will be open.
Yep. And so then we have this whole montage of everybody coming to the island on these big boats, and everybody's coming
Yep,
in, and Brody and Hooper and the rest of the police department are organizing like shark spotters. Like they got
yep,
the people like the lifeguards, and then they got the people on the boats with the guns, and
yep.
boy,
There's helicopters there.
yes, a couple helicopters. And that's when we see Peter Benchley,
Yep,
the author of the book, talking about the whole situation. And the mayor is just like, well, I mean, I guess the beaches are open, but he's kind of pissed because he's seeing everything that's going on around him, and it's people know, and people won't go in the water
yep.
because people, I mean, everyone knows that there's a shark attack, so no one will go in the water. And then he goes and persuades this family, like a scum that he is.
Yep,
He's
yep.
like, "Hey, come on there, Bill. Like, will you go? Come on, go swimming." And he's like, "I think we're good." And he's like, "Come on, man."
Do it, take one for the team.
Yeah, and like, and then they just so awkwardly wander down into the water. And
Yeah.
so what's that?
Then everybody else goes after they go
Yes,
in
and
the
then
water.
they see that people in the water, and everybody starts to go in, and everybody's happy. And and then it shows off into it. Also then shows Sean, he's building a sandcastle, and then it shows Michael, he's out with his friends on their boat out in the pond. Oh no, they're
Yep,
about to go into the ocean. But his dad's like, "Hey, Michael, go out into the pond." He's like, "The pond, that's for little kids." He's like, "Come on, for dad, do it for dad." And he's like, "Whatever." And so they go out into the pond, which is it's just so the pond is technically an outlet. It's like you have the main beach, and then there's like a canal which
yep,
leads into a pond. But it's all salt water. Uh so yeah, so he's out there. Brody's wandering the beach. And then you see uh you're back to the first person view
yes,
of
yep.
something swimming through everybody. And the funny thing is the beach, not that deep. Not that deep. But these
No.
shots make it look like it's 20 feet deep. Like these people can't
Yeah,
touch the bottom. Like
yep,
this
yep.
this and this shark, I mean, when you see the shark later on in the film, this is a big ass shark.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's swimming through all these people, no one's noticing. All right.
Ninja.
We're
Ninja
just
shark.
oblivious. Uh and yeah, so you see the first person shot, and then I believe it shows the fin, right? But it's not the shark, it's the
Fin everybody's
kids.
like, "Oh no, shark!" And then like people start pushing people over, flipping
Yes.
over, like
And the
floaties
guy who
and
just like pile drives over a girl on a floaty. The girl who was persuaded by the mayor to go in the damn water just gets just bulldozed by a massive man.
I know this, like, quality drink of water, like, goes over and, like, throws these kids off, like, a floater and, like, hops on it and, like, starts
Just
paddling.
paddling away. People just not giving a shit about
Pull
anybody
back.
else's safety.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Oh man. So yeah, so all that's happening and chaos ensues. This dude's like almost drowning, like he's being like
Yeah,
trampled over. And we find out it was a couple kids with a fin taped on their
yeah.
back, and then first they got all guns pointed at them with
Yeah,
all
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
the radio sounds. You can't hear what they're saying, but it's like that like and the kid first kid is like, it was his idea.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
made me do it.
It was just a couple of kids, Martin.
Yep. And and then it shows the actual shark. It shows the fin, right? And
Yep, yep,
it's going through the canal and it
yep.
slowly dips under the water. And there's a girl over there who was just like,
Shark!
shark, shark.
Like, the most unenthusiastic,
Yeah,
"Shark,
like she
help
was
them!"
confused what she had to do. Like
Like,
shark.
way to phone it in, Mary.
And Brody's like, oh, not again. Because she's yelling shark in the pond.
Yes.
And Brody's kind of just nonchalantly going over there because he doesn't believe, her calls. But then Ellen's like, Michael's in the pond, and so that's when he kind of picks up the pace, and he goes over there.
Knocking people over and shit.
Yeah, but then it shows Michael and his friends having a really tough time with a knot, like
Yeah.
arguing over how to tie a knot. And then there's this guy, I believe he's probably drunk. He comes over on this little tiny dinghy. He's like, "You guys okay over there?"
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
literally how he sounded.
Yeah, yeah, it's 1 to
All,
1.
all I have to say is this man did not miss leg days, because when he gets his leg chopped off and it shows the leg hit the bottom, man, those calf muscles, he got some
I mean,
tone muscles. Unfortunately, he's not gonna be able to use them anymore.
that was a nice piece of practical effect, though. Like, that leg
Yes.
was very well done.
Yes. So yeah, so it shows him getting the boat, the little dinghy gets hit, he gets knocked out of the water, and then the boat is flipped over and he's trying to crawl back up it, and you just see the shark it's above the water, but you can see the shark come in and take him under, which is such a good shot. Because you don't see the like in those shots, the shark is fake, of course, but it looked so realistic. Like the way the shark comes in from the side. Nick Paul, hola, how are you?
How's it going, sir?
Welcome in. So he gets the guy gets he gets eaten. And he gets his leg chopped off, and then it shows his leg hit the bottom of the pond, and all the kids in the boat get knocked out too. But then it shows the shot of it's Michael. Well, it's the first person shot, but it's like Michael's terrified, but the shark just goes by him. Yeah, he's just like frozen. United States.
Yes.
That's where we're from.
That's right. Dang right. That's a good shot, though, like when it shoots by him, when he's like all scared and stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And he and then we see Martin running across the bridge, which, like I was talking about before, that bridge doesn't exist anymore. They actually redid the whole thing. It's actually all made out of concrete now. Yeah.
Super boo.
Yeah. But it's called the Jaws Bridge if you go to Martha's Vineyard. He goes down and Michael is like passed out on the beach.
Yep.
Ellen is she's all just emotional, trying, because she thinks that Michael's dead. And he goes and does CPR on him, gets him back okay. And Sean's like somewhere else just bawling his eyes out. This little boy is just like somewhere else just crying. Poor Sean.
I don't know what to do. I can't mimic.
Sean gets a raw deal in this series.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I don't remember.
And so he gets him back alive, and then we go to the hospital because Michael's being submitted to the hospital, and that's when the mayor kind of wakes up because he's like, my daughter was on that beach too, and it's like, So we're trying to
Sign
tell
the
you, bro. Sign the
yeah,
damn
sign the
paper.
paper. I know. Come on, dude.
Hire Quint to go. Hire Quint to go take care of this. I'm from Berlin, Germany. And which topic are we discussing? We are discussing Jaws today. That is our weekly discussion. Is Jaws?
I wonder if Jaws showed over in Germany.
Oh, I don't know.
That's I've heard Germany has some restrictive laws against violence, but I don't know how that works with like an animal. Technically,
Right.
it's not really like people on people violence. It's all an animal. So
Right.
I don't know. It's a good question.
And so yeah, he pretty much like signed this. Have Quint kill the shark. Let's go. Oh, we missed the scene. We missed the scene where Michael is on the boat, I believe. I don't remember if this is a scene where Martin is looking through the shark book.
It is. It is.
It's before.
This is all before they go to the beach on that day, but yeah, because he's going. That's a great scene. I'm glad you mentioned that.
He's like, and he's yelling for Michael, to don't go in the water, get out of the boat. Pretty much, he's like, he's not even in the water, and then she finds the part of the book that's got all the attack pictures, and she's like, Michael, get out of there.
Yeah, I love that's great. I was like, he's like confused, like what?
Like what?
It's so good.
So we go to. Is this where they're all prepping to go, right? Hooper,
yeah, they're like Quint's hall, like house or whatever.
Yeah, they go
shack.
Yep, and Hooper's or Quint's got shark jaws in his like in a big boiling pot, and all that stuff, and pretty much just taking jabs at Hooper the whole time.
Oh God,
Hooper.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is well, the true thing is that Richard Dreyfuss and Robert Shaw did not like each other during the filming of this movie.
I've heard that.
So a lot of like the camaraderie between them was genuine because they just didn't like each other. Robert Shaw is he was a very proper professional actor. He's actually from the UK.
Is he?
Yeah.
No idea.
He I believe he was in a James Bond film. He was in the original Taking of Pelham 123. He was a very big actor over in the UK. I know in the United States too, but yeah, he was also drunk all the time on set.
Yeah, I heard that was a big point of contention with him and other actors as well.
Yeah, it was pretty much anybody who was younger, he had a problem with, like significantly younger. I know that Richard Dreyfuss, I think, was like 25 when this movie came out. And Steven Spielberg, I think, was around the same age. So
interesting.
Yeah. But unfortunately, Robert Shaw, I believe, died in 1979. It was very shortly after this movie came out. Yeah, I guess him and Dreyfuss like made up with each other a couple years later. But
interesting.
But yeah, a lot of jabs thrown their way. Ooh, we got some questions from chat about the movie. Hell yeah, bring it on. We're here. We're breaking down the plot right now. But if you got questions, please throw them in the chat. We would love to answer them.
Down with that. Mix it up.
Hell yeah. So yeah, so they're talking about all the things, pretty much everything that Quint needs in order to go do this. What causes the police chief Brody to accept that the beach is no longer safe for the public? When they find Chrissy's body, he decides to close the beach.
Yeah, after
then the mayor, the coroner
first says,
"Yep, that it was a shark attack." But then the mayor gets wind of it and has the coroner change it to a boating accident.
Yeah.
But the beaches don't get closed technically until after the Kittner boy was killed.
Yep, for 24 hours.
For 24 hours. But now the beaches are permanently closed because somebody else got murdered, pretty much. Well, not murdered. I couldn't say murdered. Got attacked.
That's a technicality.
Yeah. So they meet up with Quint and all that stuff, and then it shows them getting ready to go out on this adventure to kill the shark. So they're down at the Orca, which is the name of Quint's boat, which is one of the coolest. It's the coolest boat in cinema history. The Orca is awesome.
Which is ironic because orcas will kill sharks.
Exactly, and I think that was the
So
whole point of him
I
of
believe
them
so.
naming the boat that, because he was a shark hunter,
When
and an
that damn
orca.
movie came
Yeah,
out.
yeah, and orcas are well known to kill great white sharks, so it kind of fit perfectly. Who among the trio has an aversion towards water? That would be Chief Brody.
True.
He
Which
does
you'll hear
not.
all about in these scenes when he gets ready to get on that boat.
Yeah, he he's me. Ellen is pretty much like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Like, you don't have to go." And he's like, "I'm the chief. I have to do this."
Yeah, and then she
Okay.
obviously doesn't feel comfortable about Quint, which
Oh
rightfully
yeah,
so.
because he Quint is one of those guys that he doesn't keep anything inside him. He has no filter. He will say
No, no.
anything about anybody in front of their faces.
No.
And he says some snide comment about the chief and Ellen, and she just runs off hysterically crying. Um, as Brody goes down to throw his stuff on the boat, Hooper is putting his cage on the boat,
Yeah.
and Quint's like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna kill sharks, man. Not gonna play with him.
Yeah, and then the tank, and then putting scuba tanks on there and all that stuff. And he's like, "We're here to kill the shark. What the hell are you gonna do?"
I forgot how long into the movie, like this whole scene, like where they go in the water after Jaws, how much of the film
Oh, I
that
mean,
is.
this movie is a little over 2 hours, and
Which was it was long for back in the day.
I believe you don't see the full shark until
So it was well over an hour into the film.
yeah, it was a long time. I don't know the exact time mark that you see the full shark, but it's far into the movie. And we didn't talk about the scene with the two guys fishing on the dock with the big giant
Yeah.
roast. Those are the scenes that I don't know in chronological order. Like, they're kind of just there. They happen, and then, because it's a good scene, but it's not a crucial scene. It's just kind of one of
Yeah,
those scenes that you're like, "Oh shit, that happened."
it's some more
I believe that happens before Hooper even shows up.
it is. It's actually right before it's just as she issues the thing after the town meeting about the
Yeah.
money for the stuff. That scene
Yeah.
happens, and then it's the next day. Yeah, where everybody else shows
So
up.
yeah, so it's two guys on a dock, and the guy literally steals a whole roast from his fridge, and he's like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
your wife's gonna be pissed about that." And he's like, "She won't be pissed if I catch something good with it."
yeah. It's like 3 grand to buy a lot of roast.
Yeah, and then the shark literally takes out half the dock, drags the guy out pretty far, and then proceeds to turn around as the guy's swimming, and it's one of those like, "Oh my god, is he gonna make it?" moments, and then he does,
Yeah,
and yeah,
and
so
he
that's
just wants to go home.
yeah, so that's that scene. Um, what solution does Hooper suggest to confirm if they had the real shark?
Cut it open
Yeah, yeah.
and to gut the
So it
tiger
wasn't.
shark. Make sure it was
Yeah,
the right
so it
one.
wasn't the real shark. Um, so yeah, they get on the boat and they're off. And there's a lot of Brody slowly becoming acclimated to the boat, learning.
Yeah,
Pretty much Quint makes him do a lot of stuff. Trying to teach him how to tie certain knots. He's the chum guy. He's
yeah.
the guy
He
who
he
literally
seems
has to chum.
he seems to Quint seems to show more compassion to the chief. You like just little
Yeah,
things he'll say
yeah.
to him, like, and then of course he doesn't really like uh Hooper at all. So he's
No,
just like, fuck, he's like, screw him.
yeah, in real life and in this film. Uh, so Brody is learning how to tie knots. He's mimicking him, like, he goes like Quint's got his big fishing pole. He's doing his thing, and he drinks the beer and then crushes the can. And Brody's got the coffee cup and he crushes the styrofoam in his hand. I was like, okay. But yeah, he's the chum guy. So anytime they need to get some chum out in the water, that's the Chiefs' main job. What makes Ellen Brody agree with Martin Brody
He
and
just
yell, "Get out of the water"? We actually just talked about this. Is
yeah,
when
we did.
Ellen looks in the book and sees the attacks, pictures of shark attacks.
Yep. It's like we literally just talked about
Yeah.
that. It's awesome.
Um. He and this is where Quint gets the bite and they have the long fight, right? And that's when Hooper's behind
Yeah.
him. He's like, "This isn't it. It's not it."
Yeah, and he's like, "Just let it go." He's like, "No, it's
Yeah.
under the boat." Like,
Yeah.
I think that's when they get the first buoy on it.
Yep. And no, because this wasn't it. They didn't put a buoy on him yet.
Oh, no, that's what this breaks the line,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
because he Hooper comes out and grabs the line with like these hooks and tries to bring it in and it snaps it as Quint
Yeah,
because
that's right.
Quint left to go grab something real quick.
Yeah, that's
And when he
right,
comes
that's right.
back, the sharks are gone, and then he gives Hooper more shit. Um, and then we move on. Which year did the
Oh, yeah,
film Jaws
yeah.
come out? 1975. And then trying to think
I think
what's
it's just it's a little bit of a dead period, and then that's when he asks, Quint says, "Tell, Chief to start chum in the water again."
yes. And this
He's like,
is
"Make, Hooper do it this time. Hooper drives the boat," you
yep.
know?
Yep. And so, Brody's pissed. He's sitting there, he's throwing chum out on the water. And yeah, why don't you come down shovel some of this shit? And as he does
Yep,
it, that's when the shark's head pops out of the water. Freaking perfect moment. He freaking turns, stands straight up, and he backs up into the boat. And he turns
yep,
to Quint, and this is what he says. There's a very big misconception on what Brody actually says to Quint. A lot of people think it is we're gonna need a bigger boat, but it's actually you're gonna need a bigger boat because
yep.
Brody's like, this is your problem. This is your boat. That's a big ass what I just saw. Damn.
A little bit of Mandela effect there, dude.
So yeah, so he hops in or he backs into the thing. He turns to Quinn, says, "You're going to need a bigger boat," which is one of the most iconic lines in film history. Um, I actually have a sticker on my vehicle that says that. uh,
Wait, it says you're gonna need a bigger boat?
yeah, on my car, I have a sticker.
That's awesome. That's
What is
good.
written in white on the hoarding for Amity Island at the beginning of the picture? On the hoarding? I don't even know what does that mean?
I wonder if it was that billboard where they just have the help and the shark, or was this for
Oh,
some I wonder if that's what he means or if he means something else, because that's the only thing I can think of.
oh, what does the billboard say? It's like,
I think it says "Help Shark" or
no, but
something like that.
what does the billboard actually say?
Oh, doesn't it
Without, it's like enjoy the summer or something like that.
I can't remember. I can't remember. I didn't pay attention to that kind of detail,
Yeah.
sadly.
He and then Quint gets up, goes out, and that's when we see the shot from where Hooper is. He's steering the boat from the top there, and he's looking down, and that's when you see the actual size of the shark, the full body of
Yep,
the shark swim by, and that's when they determine like how big he is, like 25
yep.
feet, which 25 feet, that's a big shark.
It's very
There
big.
is not, I don't know. I think the biggest shark on record is like 26 to 27 feet. And it's rare. They're very rare to find. And most of the time they're females. Males don't really
Yeah.
get that big. I think the biggest alive right now on record is like 21 feet, and it's a big girl. So yeah, so they determine it's 25 feet, few tons. It's a massive shark, and that's when Quint grabs his harpoon gun, which is
Yep,
attached. He tells Hooper, "Hey, you need to attach uh, the line to the buoys." And right as he ties it up, that's when he shoots the shark in the fin, and the first buoy goes into the water. And
he puts that tracker on there too, doesn't he?
yep,
Is that the first boot?
yeah,
Yeah.
he ties the line, the tracker to the end of the buoy as
Yeah.
as he's tying the knot. And then yeah, so it's pretty much a cool shot where the sun's going down. And it's just the silhouette of Quint at the end of the boat
Oh, yeah, because 'cause they're waiting. Yeah,
because
they're
they're
waiting on him to
waiting.
pop back up.
And let's see, megalodon is extinct, so I'm just talking about sharks that are actually alive.
Yeah, currently alive,
Yeah,
and
I'm talking about
predatory
the, and
sharks.
I'm also talking about the largest great white, not the largest shark, because whale sharks are the largest shark on the planet. And there's a few sharks that are actually bigger than the great white. But the largest great white on record right now is, I believe, 21 or 22 feet long. Yeah. Megalodon grew way bigger than that, but they are extinct. Um, so yeah, is this when they only have one buoy on it before they go downstairs and they have
Yeah.
the whole thing where they're
Yeah, they do the whole scene where they're in the kitchen or getting drunk and eating and
singing
whatnot.
singing their songs and all that.
Oh, it's the best, dude.
Yeah. And I know all the songs too. Oh man.
Oh, I'll bet you do.
Oh man. So the song that they sing later, the Show Me the Way to Go Home song,
Yeah.
in the movie Piranha 3D, one of the Piranha films, the newer Piranha films. I think it was the
Mhm.
first one. There's actually a scene where it's Richard Dreyfuss in a little tiny dinghy boat fishing, and he's singing that song dressed up as Quint. He's dressed up in Quint's attire,
That's hilarious.
sitting in this tiny little dinghy singing that "Show Me the Way to Go Home" song, and then he gets attacked by the piranhas and dies.
That's of course. I've only seen the original Piranha from the '80s. I've never seen any of
Do you
the
know who directed that?
no idea.
James Cameron. No, he directed Piranha 2, which came out
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you gotta love
like
where
a
people start, huh?
yeah, and then he went on to do Terminator. How come Steven Spielberg moved the production to Martha's Vineyard? It was cheaper to do it, and he just wanted to prove. I think he wanted to prove Universal that he was legit, and it turned out to be a hell of a production.
Yes. So
Um,
the stories go.
yeah, but I believe that Universal actually told him like, "Hey, we don't really have anywhere for you to film anything on water, so you got to figure it out." Like, oh, all right, I guess we got to start doing some scouting.
Yep.
Uh, so yeah, so they're down there. They're telling stories about all the scars they have. Quinn's got all his from when he was in the military and from shark attacks, and Hooper does the same thing. And then it's the sea like where Brody picks up his shirt a little bit, and there's like the
Yeah.
scar. Is that from like a gallbladder surgery, or is that
I don't know. See, that's what I was wondering because he sounds like he's been in the police a long time. I don't know if he had gotten, like, knifed or shot at one point. They
Mm,
never mentioned I was
yeah,
gonna
that could
ask
be
if you
it
knew
too.
anything about
No, because
that.
they don't ever talk about it. They just show like he picks up a and it's like he's embarrassed by it. Like if I got stabbed or shot, like I would have been like flopping on the table, like I got shot, people. Like
Well, in Brody's character, he doesn't really
he's
come
not a
off as much of a
bragger.
braggart.
Yeah.
No, he's just like, "I keep to myself," and
Which part of the movie made me emotional? Probably the scene with Mrs. Kittner coming up and confronting Chief Brody.
yep, yep.
Um
That scene or
it's
when her she can't find her son on the beach.
yeah, she
I
goes
would say it
down
was
to the beach.
emotional, but it's kinda like, oh,
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. I believe the film is considered to be the first blockbuster. So yeah, probably made the right call doing it this way. Yeah, it was. It was the first summer blockbuster.
yeah, personal that's what make coined the term, so
Yep. Uh, so yeah, so they're telling their stories, and then that's when Hooper and Quint kind of connect a little bit more, even though in
yeah,
a few minutes later, everything goes to shit. Um, and they're talking about and then he starts to talk about how he was on the USS Indianapolis, which is this has to be one of the greatest movie dialogues or monologues of all
I
time.
think,
It was,
hands down.
I believe, it was all written by Robert Shaw. It could have been there might have been an idea of what to do in the script, but I believe all of this was it was all ad libbed. It wasn't in the script. He came up with this whole thing. Um, so yeah, so if and nobody knows what the USS Indianapolis is, it was a battleship back in World War II. They got torpedoed by the Japanese. Right? It was Japanese, right? That
Yep,
yeah,
yep,
and a lot of people died, of course, and
yes.
this was also one of the like largest shark attack incidents, like of all time,
Yes.
by white tip reef sharks, which pretty much he's just recounting how watching all of his crewmen just slowly be eaten by the sharks, and that was what kind of formed him to hate sharks and to go out
Yep.
and hunt them. And it's a beautifully done diet. It's beautifully done. If cool, one of the cool things is if look up, I know his son, Robert Shaw's son. I can't remember what his name is. But he actually because he sounds just like him. Like
Really?
if you listen to him talk, he sounds just like his father, and he actually
Oh, dude.
reenacts the whole monologue, and it sounds like you're listening to him. Like actually listen to him. Now he's been dead for 40 years, but it's really
That's
cool
cool,
to
man.
listen to.
I this I know we talked about this, that he either wrote that, and I know he was he was at least pretty heavily intoxicated during the scenes.
Yes.
I think some of the scenes, because you could tell when you're watching it, like he'll do a run of it and there'll be like a different cut from like a different angle, and you could tell there's probably some amount of time has passed between the different recordings. You pay attention to how his face looks and stuff.
Yeah.
But I just love the scene building up to it where he's jokingly, Richard Dreyfuss's character jokingly says "mother" and laughs,
Mhm.
and like obviously Quint just gets super serious and just grabs him on the arm. Like you can tell it's like really obviously, like it's just there's all these physical things they do that
Yeah.
didn't have to be done, but they did it and just makes the scene. It's so damn good.
Which this movie was real and Brody was you. Are you going to enjoy or not?
Yeah. What if this? I assume what if this movie was real and you were Brody? Were you going? No, heck no, I wouldn't enjoy
No,
this. It'd be awful.
this is a terrible situation. A
This is
terrible,
awful.
terrible situation. Um, so yeah, so they're he's telling about this. He's telling the story, and that's when the shark busts the side of the boat, which then proceeds to fill it up with water, and that's when we get our series of events where it slowly starts to sink. But Quint gets up. He goes outside. He is pissed, so he ends up shooting 2 more barrels into the shark. So now it's got 3 barrels. He's like, this thing can't go. So the whole point of the buoys, they're actually barrels. The whole
Yeah,
point of them was to prevent the shark from going down, like was to prevent the shark from going
yeah,
deep. And he figured if I can put a bunch of these um on the shark, it will like it'll be easier for us to get it.
that's the
Unfortunately,
fight to
this
stay
shark,
underwater.
yeah, unfortunately, this shark is super strong and very big, so it drags all 3 barrels underneath the water, which is
Yep.
shocks everybody. But so yeah, so it's got 3 barrels attached to it. The boat is slowly sinking, and this is when all hell breaks loose. This is when Hooper decides, all right, I need to get into the water. I want to see this. I want to try to jab this thing. I think he had those like poison,
Yeah, there's like a
like
poisonous little like
yeah, it was
harpoon thing.
on the harpoon. Yeah, he goes down into his shark cage, and is just kind of there. And the you don't see anything, you don't hear anything, and that's when he turns, and that's when the shark slams into the cage, and
Yep.
he's screaming, through his mask. So it's like that really gurgled scream,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is terrifying. And yeah, the shark is just kind of sitting there, like trying to push his way through the bars. Um, and he drops the spear or the
Yeah, of
harpoon,
course.
of
Yeah.
course, and then it proceeds to show footage of an actual shark that got trapped on top of a cage. Now, the cool
Yeah, I'll say
thing
they
was
did. Go ahead.
Steven Spielberg hired, or yeah, Steven Spielberg hired a professional like shark diving team to get real footage of great whites to put into the movie. Um, and during one of the filming of like they would go down and they would just film sharks swimming around or whatever, and it was crazy that one of the moments was a shark accidentally got itself entangled into the top of the cage,
Yeah.
and it's thrashing around. And so like that was real footage that they had caught for the movie, and it was so like perfect for that scene that Steven Spielberg is like, yeah, put that in there. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, yeah,
It's,
yeah.
it's
Might as
great.
well. Heck yeah.
So the shark is on top of the cage, and it's starting to bend the mechanism that is holding the cage, and it snaps completely.
Yeah.
but they somehow jerry rig it to the side of the boat so it doesn't sink to the bottom of the ocean. But Hooper, the shark cage is so destroyed that Hooper gets out and he swims to the bottom and like hides behind a rock.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and and Brody's on the top. He's trying to call for help, and that's when Quint comes in with a baseball bat and smashes the radio.
Yep, yep.
And then Brody just loses his mind. He's like,
Yeah.
"What are you? You're crazy. We're gonna die. You're crazy."
Did we mention? Forgive me if I missed this. Did we mention that when they were singing earlier at night and when they were down, that when the shark was actually hitting the side of the boat? Because remember when they were
Yeah,
singing
yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
down
And
in the
that's what.
galley or
Yeah,
whatever?
and that's when
That's when it starts.
it starts to sink the boat. But but
Sorry.
before Hooper goes into the water, the Quint is following the barrels. Like he's got the 3 barrels in the shark, and he's driving his boat to almost to oblivion. Like it's
Yeah.
smoking and built because there's so much water going into the engine room, and it's
Yep.
causing black smoke to come out of it. And he's up there singing the song like he's about the
Spanish maidens. Is that what it
hey,
is?
lady do to those fair Spanish ladies. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's
song,
it. Yeah.
and he's losing his mind, like he's so determined,
Yeah.
and Quint's up there trying to like get him to stop and all that, and yeah, it was crazy. But then it's Hooper going into the water, and
Yeah.
all that happens. And then that's when the shark just utterly destroys the whole boat. Like he's crashing, or the shark ends up jumping out of the water and propping itself on the deck of the boat,
Yep.
which I mean, sharks have been known to do that, but not in the way that this shark was doing it. The
Yeah,
shark
of
was
course.
determined to kill people, where mostly if a shark does that, it's on accident. Great white, I don't think I've ever seen anything where a great white's done that before. But so yeah, it props itself on the boat, and somehow Quint is like, he cannot get out of this. Like the shark's on the boat, so it starts to tip the boat backwards,
Yeah.
and Quint is trying to not slide into its mouth, and he's kicking it, and he's trying to get away from it, and then he slips into the mouth, and that's when the shark bites down on him. Blood starts squirting out of Quint's mouth, and then he drags him into the ocean. Which the nasty thing is later on when you see the shark, you see the nice meat chunks in its teeth
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
because he just ate Quint. You guys are stuck in the middle of the ocean. You have spear and you are hungry. So are you going to jump on ocean or kill the shark and going to eat, or are you going to be hungry?
Hungry.
I mean, I feel like there'd be other things I could probably hunt
In theory. In theory.
in theory. So
Makes me
yeah,
think
I'll
of that
probably,
game, The Raft.
yeah, never played it. But yeah, no,
There's sharks. It tries to eat your raft. You
All
can
the
hit it
time.
with things.
all the time.
That's what they do.
Why'd you do like a giant squid or something? I don't know. It's always got to be a shark.
Oh, this guy wrote a book about a giant squid.
Oh, Peter Benchley?
Peter. Yeah, I didn't know that. Did he actually? Okay, I was going to mention this at the end, but I'll mention it now. Yeah. So Peter Benchley. I was looking at his
Isn't it The Deep?
He did a movie. Okay, there was a TV movie on, in '96. It was called The Beast, about a giant killer squid, giant squid. And he wrote a book in '91 called Beast, and that was adapted into the 96 series. And then he wrote a book called White Shark, and that was adapted into the TV show, what was it? Creature, which was a 1998 film. And I'd watched both of those. I had no idea he wrote both of those and
That's
Jaws
funny.
and all that stuff.
I,
It's pretty
I,
funny.
I think he wrote a book called The Deep.
He did. It was actually his book after Jaws.
Yeah.
He seems to fancy water tales.
Yeah, he likes the ocean. He's probably trying to and he definitely was trying to rectify Jaws. Yeah.
That's fair. Oh.
Are we a game streamer? Sometimes. I am. I mean, sometimes I am. Dan is
When he
definitely more
feels
than
it.
me. Yeah, when I feel like it.
I do play them. I do play them occasionally.
Yeah. So yeah. So Quint's dead,
Nom, nom,
and
nom, 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 nom.
Brody is trying to figure out what to do. So he finds the gun, and then that's when he finds the gun, and then that's when the shark busts through the window, the side window,
Yes.
and you could see the meat chunks in its teeth and all that. Just good detail, you know. You gotta
That's
add that.
ac that's also Quint's connection to World War II. It's an M1 Garand, which is what he would have
Yep.
had or
Yep.
would have used in World War II. So,
Yep.
depending on his rank, of course. I don't
Yep.
think they specify what he did. But anyway.
And he finds one of Hooper's scuba tanks and
Yeah,
starts
yeah.
bashing it in the mouth. And then when the shark opens its mouth, he throws it in there. And the shark proceeds to chew on it like a chew toy the whole
Mhm.
duration of the rest of its life. It just starts chewing on it. Now, Mythbusters proved that this can't happen. The
Yes,
way that this
yes.
movie ends, they tried it. It doesn't work. That's not how a scuba tank works. And also, I don't think if you threw a scuba tank in a shark's mouth, it's going to just proceed to chew on it
I don't
for the
imagine.
duration. I think it would either try to swallow it or try to just spit it
Spit
out.
it out.
Um, so yeah, but it's cool for the film. So he throws that in there. The shark goes away, and then as the boat is sinking, he's trying to find his way up to the mast. He's
Yeah.
crawling his way to the highest point, and that's when he starts playing target practice with the shark. As the shark is cruising towards him, and you got the shark the Jaws theme playing, and he's just shooting. He's missing. And he's trying to hit the tank. I think he hits the shark itself once or twice and doesn't do anything. And then that's when you get the final shot where he just goes, "Smile, you son of a bitch," and shoots. And that's when you get the boom, the big explosion, shark bits flying everywhere. And everybody and Brody is just so happy. He's just so excited.
Ecstatic.
And then that's when you see this, and then this is the one scene that I was always like, I just wonder if they added the sound effect for just to show the power of this shark for the whole duration of this movie, was the shark's dead corpse floating down, and you just hear this like ominous roar. Did you hear
Yeah,
that?
yes, I'm pretty sure that was the same roar that was used in The
Jaws the
Duel
roof.
when the truck goes over the
Oh,
edge. I'm pretty
okay.
sure.
That's
I'm
actually
pretty sure.
I did not know that. That is actually really cool. But yeah, you get the really slow mo shot of the shark's corpse, blown up corpse floating down. You get this ominous roar. It's
Yeah.
kind of low, and then it just shows Brody on the top, just kind of in shock of what just happened, and that's when Hooper uh, comes out of the water, and Brody thinks Hooper's dead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, rightfully so. I mean,
And yeah, and they're just like, first thing he's like, "Quint," and he shakes his head no, and then they're like, well, let's start heading towards shore. And they find some things to hold on to, and they start paddling away, talking away, and that's it. That's Joss.
it
We
is
get the
Jaws.
cool credit scene where it shows them. It kind of just shows the scene of the beach, and then slowly as the credits are going, it shows them, you know, actually hitting shore and getting off and surviving. But yeah,
Don't
that's
they say some stuff as they're paddling to shore, don't they? That they're like talking
yeah.
about things. I can't remember.
They're having just kind of pointless conversations. Like,
That's what I thought.
yeah, and then yeah, they make it to shore, and that's it. That's Jaws. So we usually, so we have reviewed a few films before this. We did the MonsterVerse movies before this. We did a bunch of rankings. Now Jaws is going to be a little bit different because there's really there was a couple things that we did in the prior film that we reviewed that we can't really do in these. Like there's really no villains other than like in this movie. I would say like we talked about the mayor. You could
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
put him down as a villain. But we can rank main characters, and we're gonna give the group. We're gonna give the group of Brody. I would say Brody is your main character.
Yeah, yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean Hooper and Quint, like towards the end of the film, of course, become more of main characters. But we'll give Brody the main character, or we could do the trifecta if you want to do all three of them together
I
as a
I
group.
see them as a group
Yeah,
personally,
yeah.
but
I mean,
it's up to you.
when you look on a poster, it's got those three guys' names on it. So
Yeah,
I feel like we got to
absolutely.
put them in their own group. Uh, So yeah, I mean, they got to be number one because
Oh,
this is the first film in the series. So,
A number one, top of the list. I
and I
guarantee it probably
feel
isn't
like they're
moving.
gonna stay that way.
Yeah, probably.
So yeah, we're not gonna do villains because I think this film is like the only one there's really a villain in. Like I said, I think 3 might have a technical villain, but it's not. None of these films really have like a villain. Not every movie has villains, so we're not gonna do that. Um, do we want to rank every individual shark for every film? It's a different shark in every film.
It is. It is. It is. You are correct. I mean, I don't. I mean, sure. Why
All right.
not?
Well,
It's number
I mean, this
one,
one's. I mean,
clearly.
all of these are going to be number one. Yeah, because we're going to be ranking. So we're going to rank the movies, and we're putting this one at number one, and it's going to stay at number one
Yeah,
for the
it's gonna be.
duration of these episodes.
We'll put it on a plinth. It'll be great.
But now that this episode is about complete, we all get to look forward to the next 3 weeks as it progressively gets more interesting. So next week, chat, we will be reviewing, dissecting, and ranking Jaws 2. I would say the last of the decent Jaws. Like, this is probably it's not good, but it's not bad. But it's a generic monster movie. That's what I'm going to throw out there. They pretty much fair. I think a rough overview of Jaws 2 before we even get to reviewing it is that Jaws 2 is they take a lot of elements from this film and they rehash it. The cool thing about Jaws 2 is they bring back Roy Scheider.
Yep.
They bring back Murray Hamilton, who plays the mayor. I know Hendricks is in that movie. Like, there's a lot of characters from the original film that are in this. I think Richard Dreyfuss is like one of the only main characters. Well, of course, Robert Shaw, because he dies in this film. But yeah, that'll be next week's episode. Jaws 2. We'll be here next Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time here on twitch.tv/theparkerxp.
Can I make a comment before we leave? One last
bit
of trivia and then one other comment. The roar of it is the same between Jaws and the duel. However, I knew I heard it somewhere else, and I want to say I knew this before I looked it up. I just forgot. It was also the roar was used in we've actually watched the show on stream. Was the 1957 movie The Land Unknown. It was a really goofy looking T-Rex, and that's where the roar comes from. It's from that movie, which was used in the duel, and then Steven Spielberg used it again in Jaws.
Oh, that's funny.
And are you going to extend this an extra week and review the unofficial Jaws 5?
Wait,
that's the real question.
Excuse me? Wait, there's a Jaws 5?
Yes, there is it's a direct-to-video Italian horror film.
Oh my
God. It was called Jaws 5. It was called Jaws 5 or Cruel Jaws.
Oh my God.
I promise you.
No way.
Yep. It was marketed in many areas as Jaws 5 Cruel Jaws. There's no real connection.
I like how it says writers Peter Benchley novel. What?
It was directed by Bruno Mattei. If you know anything about like Italian exploitation schlock horror movies, he's the guy. He's one of the guys.
Oh boy.
You have to look into this. I just had to mention it.
There's a way it's got a 3.3 on IMDb. That's fantastic.
That's at least average.
This came out 20 years after the original movie. Wow. Yeah. What time is it here? It is currently it is 10:39 p.m. for me.
Yep, that's correct. That is correct.
Sounds
very
I like how
special,
it says
Rudy.
it was I like how it says it was directed by Bruno Mattei as William Snyder. That's what it says on IMDb. That's weird.
That's great. Let it cover it up.
Hey,
Bruno.
listen, if there's a easy way for me to watch this film, I'll watch it. I mean, I can guarantee it's probably going to be worse than Jaws: The Revenge.
Oh, absolutely.
Or Jaws 3D. Oh, actually, it might. I mean, that might be pretty close to Jaws 3D.
Good old Jaws 3D.
Oh boy, that damn movie.
Let's see. It looks like the entire film is on YouTube.
Well, I'll watch it on YouTube. Okay.
Just throwing it out there. I don't know how good it's going to be, but it looks like it's on
whatever. I mean, just by the look of this cover art, looks fantastic.
Oh, I was going to mention. Speaking of shark games, did you ever play Maneater?
I played a lot of it. I have not finished it, but
I haven't either, but I'm assuming you enjoy that.
I mean, it's it's dumb fun.
Yeah,
Like, I don't take it too
that's what you'd
serious.
expect from a game with sharks,
Yeah.
with magic powers.
I've played it on stream a few times. It's a lot. I enjoyed it. I actually got a free key for it. That's why I played it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got ours on the PS5. I played it a few times. I like it. I need to get back to it, but just
Yeah.
random. We're talking about shark stuff, so I wanted to mention it.
Yeah. Hey, whatever. Like I said at the beginning of the show chat, we are on podcast services. We are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and also on Podbean. We will all, and soon, hopefully, we will be on Google Podcasts. So if you guys can't watch it live or watch it when it goes on YouTube at some point when we get the YouTube channel up, you can listen to it in your car, at work, like I do. I do that a lot. I listen to podcasts at work because
Same,
it's
all the time.
good way to pass the time. And yes, I do listen to my own podcast because I like to judge it hard as I'm listening to it.
Yes.
I'm like, this host sucks. Shut up,
There you go.
guy. No. But yeah, so this episode will be on podcast services tomorrow I'm setting them at like Mondays at like 8 a.m. So you can download the new episode will be on those services at 8 a.m. every Monday. So I'm going to be doing that after I am done here. I'm going to make sure that it's ready to go, so you guys will be able to listen to it.
That's a quick
Tomorrow.
turnaround.
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, the nice thing about it is that I literally just I put like the VOD through like a editing program,
Yeah,
and then I just export it as an MP3,
that makes sense.
and then I
Makes
just
perfect
submit it,
sense.
and then I just all I have to do is just submit the MP3 file into Podbean, and then it distributes it to everything else. It's fantastic.
Yeah, at least people don't have to wait long if they want
If
to
an
listen.
idiot
to it.
like me can figure it out, then everyone else can figure it out. Because man, it was a painful process to figure it all out, but we did it.
That's technology. Has
So,
ups and downs.
yeah, right. Dan, thank you so much for being here.
Anytime, sir. No problem.
Now, if you guys want to see Dan for the rest of the Jaws in review, I mean, I do, but if you all want to see him for the rest of this Jaws in review, just comment or send me some DMs and say, yeah, we need Dan back.
Or just maybe listen. Don't look at me. It's kind of
okay.
I can't help it. I can't help it. No, her opinion is biased. Do not listen to her. Just kidding.
Hey, Angela, if you want to be on it too, come on, you can join us for the rest. You'll have to take some notes because, man, the next, like, listen, a lot of people are going to be disappointed in me, I think, in this episode because there was a lot of times I had to like ask about certain scenes, and I've seen this movie probably more times than anybody on this planet. But did you just know, Chad, I have a bad memory. Like, I have to see things like right before we do this if I want to remember. So that's why I have people. That's why I have people here to help me along because it's never going to be fluid,
I just think what my wife said.
Nick Paul, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you.
Hey.
I have notes. I have never watched the other Jaws. Well, you're in for a treat for the next 3 weeks because it's going to be an adventure.
I'm be getting a lot of Jaws on Blu-ray, huh?
I believe I was actually let me look it up real quick. I believe they're all on Amazon.
Oh, sweet.
If you have Amazon Video, let me look it up again.
I do. Jaws.
Right, I'm prepared.
He is. He's got a big shark behind him. And
yeah, it says so. Yeah, it says right here on Amazon. It says free to me. I got Jaws 2, Jaws 3, and Jaws the Revenge all on Amazon Video.
Where's the fifth one? I just kidding.
I don't know. I'll have to go through here. There's a lot of shark movies.
Yeah.
Oh, it's right there. It's right there.
Yeah.
Woo! Cool. Oh, I have to have the Tubi app?
Oh, that's lame.
Wait, let me go.
Just watch it on YouTube.
Wait, let me make sure I can watch all these other ones. Oh, all the Jaws films are on HBO Max.
I have HBO Max.
So yeah, so next week, chat. Next Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to be reviewing Jaws 2. Boy, this is going to be fun.
Tell your brother I miss his fridge already.
He won't have the fridge in his shop for the next show. So yeah, hopefully we'll have Nemesis back for next episode, and we might have Aradella back for the reviews show. It's going to be a good time. I'm excited. So yeah, so remember, podcast services tomorrow at 8 a.m. if you want to listen to it. Like I said, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that fun stuff. I have been your host, the Parker XP. Nick Paul, thanks for the follow. I appreciate you for being here and throwing all those questions in the chat. Over there is Dan, one half of the cutest couple on Twitch, DNA Gaming. I'm going to do it just for this episode, okay? We will see you again soon. Bye, everybody.
Deuces.